Chapter 405. Shokuho Misaki's parting gift was given to him by Shokuho Misaki. Wuyan took a look at his character status and let out a long sigh. He clearly had 9 girls by his side, but in the end, he was reduced to a situation where he had to challenge the dungeon alone. Was there anything sadder than this in the world? If you guys don't want to go then, so be it. I will go alone. After he said that, he turned around and ignored the girls in the room. Seeing Wu Yin throwing a tantrum, the girls couldn't help but giggle. Wu Yin is pretty cute when he's throwing a tantrum. Of course, they can only say this in their hearts. If Wu Yin finds out that they called him cute, he's going to be in big trouble. With his personality, he's going to use his actions to prove that he's not cute, and he's going to drag them down with him. Wu Yin opened up the dungeon tab. His wine-red eyes scanned the screen. Not long after, his gaze stopped on one of the dungeon names. Date Battle. This is Wu Yan's goal. In fact, using such a world to level up was very unwise. Although there were many powerful sprites in the world of Date Battle, there were no less than 5 or 6 of them. However, there were only a few sprites that could be used to level up, and then there was nothing else. Even if he farmed all of them, it's hard to say whether or not he could reach level 70. Plus, the elves in Date Battle are all ridiculously strong. Conservatively speaking, they're all at Astria's level. Even if he wanted to farm them, would he be able to do it? That's why he chose Date Battle. His main goal isn't to level up, it's to unlock the mysterious crystal's special item. According to the system, one of the items needed to unlock the mysterious crystal must contain spatial properties. In the Date Battle world, the item that appears the most is the Spacequake. And after asking the system, the answer given by the system was that it was possible. As for the matter of leveling up, 100 days in the other world was only 1 day in this world. Once he obtained the item to unlock the mysterious crystal, he would choose another world to level up. However, he needs to bleed a little bit. Beep. The Date Battle world is inactive. Beep. Please activate the Date Battle world. Activation cost: 200,000 equipment points, item points, ability points, summoning points. Do you wish to activate? 200,000 equipment points, item points, ability points, summoning points? Wu Yan's lips twitched as he clicked on the activation button. Then, he clicked on the activation button with an expressionless face. Beep. 200,000 equipment points, item points, ability points, summoning points have been deducted. Date Battle world activated. Ding. Date Battle world successfully activated. Character: Wu Yin. Ability: True Ancestor Bloodline, Infinite Martial Arts, Electromaster, LV5, Equipment, Kaibao of Wong, D rank, Summons, Misaka Mikoto, Katsura Hinajiku, Ikaros, Astria, Flandra, Scarlet, Shokuho Misaki, Kinuhata Sai, Frenda, Takitsubu Riku, Misaka Sisters, 20,000, Equipment Points, 120000 Item Points, 800000 Ability Points, 120000 Summoning Points, 18000 Level, 69. After deducting 100,000 points from each of the 4 types of points, the Date Battle column lit up. Looking at the Date Battle column, Wu Yan's pained expression slowly eased up. Glancing at the girls in the room, Wu Yan waved his hand. Well then, I'm leaving. Wu Yan clicked on the Date Battle section. After a flash of light, Wu Yan disappeared from the spot. The girls looked at the spot where Wu Yan was standing. Suddenly, Shokuho Misaki seemed to have thought of something, and she screamed in shock. Not good. The sudden scream startled the girls, and when they recovered, Mikoto immediately pointed at Shokuho Misaki in dissatisfaction. Why are you screaming all of a sudden? If it was any other time, Shokuho Misaki would have retaliated. But this time, Shokuho Misaki had no intention of doing so. Instead, she stood up from her bed. Biting her lips, Shokuho Misaki said regretfully, I should have known. If I knew, I would have followed him even if he disbanded Starlight Queen. The girls looked at each other in confusion. Why did Shokuho Misaki suddenly go back on her words? Shokuho Misaki glanced at them and said, What do you guys think if Xiao Yin brings a girl back? Hearing this, all the women froze in place. After a while, Astrea smiled awkwardly and raised her hand weakly. I don't think so. Everyone turned to look at Astrea. Astrea shrunk her head and kept quiet. Mikoto narrowed her eyes. A dangerous glint flashed in her brown pupils. If he brings a girl back, I won't let him get away with it. The girls nodded in unison. Their faces were filled with determination. Only Shokahome Misaki sighed faintly and said with a hint of bitterness, Are you really willing to do this? Of course. All the girls said the same thing, but their voices were extremely weak. Shokahome Misaki coldly snorted and touched her cheeks. Looks like I have to take some measures. Dungeon. Date Battle Dungeon Mission. Collect. Mission 1. Materialize all the dimensional quakes in the world and collect them. Current progress, 0. 10 mission reward. Equipment points, item points, ability points, summoning points, 50,000 each. Mission 2. Yet to be activated. Mission 3. Yet to be activated. Beep. User, you will only be able to leave this instance dungeon after completing all the quests in this instance dungeon. When Quest 1 is completed, Quest 2 will be activated. When Quest 2 is completed, Quest 3 will be activated. When Quest 3 is completed, user will be able to leave this instance dungeon. Reminder, the time ratio between the real world and the real world is 100. 1. User can train in this dungeon without worry. Have a good time. When Wu Yin recovered from the dizziness caused by the teleportation, the mission notification rang in his ears. Wu Yin felt refreshed. His purpose for coming to this world was to collect spaceships. Unexpectedly, the quest for this instance dungeon had always been this one. This was just right. He slowly opened his eyes, and when he saw the scene in front of him, he jumped in fright. There's nothing in front of him. It's just pitch black. At this moment, the system notification rang out once more. Beep. Detected dimensional quakes in user surroundings. Beep. User has entered the effective range of dimensional quakes. Do you wish to materialize dimensional quakes? Hearing the two system notifications, Wu Yin was stunned. Could it be that this blackness was the space quake? Am I inside a dimensional quakes? When the thought appeared in Wu Yan's mind, the surrounding space suddenly shook. A powerful storm swept through the dark space. In the blink of an eye, the storm filled the entire space. Like a shockwave, the storm surged towards Wu Yan. Wu Yan's face sank. He only had time to raise both his hands to protect himself. The black storm arrived. It wasn't until a ray of light appeared in front of him that he realized he's high up in the sky. Chapter 406. Spacequake is a large-scale vibration phenomenon with unknown causes. As its name suggests, spacequake refers to the vibration of the space itself. The frequency of the vibration is enough to destroy everything in the space. This is spacequake. 30 years ago, the spacequake phenomenon appeared in this world without any warning and caused great destruction. It was a disaster for the people of this world, as it destroyed everything in its surroundings. Originally, since the space tremor phenomenon occurred 30 years ago, it had not appeared in the following 25 years. However, 5 years ago, with Tiangong City as the beginning, the space tremor phenomenon appeared again, and it is very frequent. Today, the spacequake phenomenon appeared once again. In a quiet town, people lived the same life day after day, year after year. The streets were filled with cars and pedestrians. Although it was noisy, it showed a strong sense of vitality. Until woo 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 woo, an ear-piercing alarm rang out from an unknown place, ringing throughout the entire street. Wherever the sound passed, whether it was pedestrians or cars, they all stopped their activities and looked up at the sky with a look of horror. After the siren sounded for a while, a voice suddenly sounded. The premonition of spacequake has been detected in this area. Please go to the nearest shelter as soon as possible. This is not a training. This is not a training. This is a real alarm. Please go to the nearest shelter as soon as possible. Please go to the nearest shelter as soon as possible. I repeat, as the alarm continued to sound, the pedestrians in the surrounding area ran to some specific places. Some drivers also parked their cars in the surrounding area and ran to those specific places. The lights, signs, and other signs on the streets had disappeared. Instead, they were replaced by the words "Spacequake Warning," which kept flashing on the signs. Then, on some street parking lots, the parking areas suddenly sank and were protected by some thick steel walls. The pedestrians all ran into some underground driveways, underground tracks, and so on. The steel walls also spread out from the side, protecting these areas tightly. Then, these areas all sank into the ground. Some of the pedestrians who had yet to enter the shelter were heading to specific locations in an orderly manner. The buildings by the roadside had changed greatly due to the sinking of some important areas, but they ignored it and moved very efficiently. It was obvious that they were used to this kind of operation. It was unknown whether it was because of the frequent occurrence of spacequakes or because they had a special rehearsal. Perhaps it was a combination of both. It wasn't until all the residents in the vicinity had entered the shelter and some of the important areas were protected that the sirens finally stopped. What followed was a desolate town and a chilling silence, until a certain moment. A black light spot appeared at the center of the town and quickly spread to the surroundings. In the blink of an eye, it is spread to the point that it is bigger than a football field. Wherever the huge black light ball went, no matter if it was the buildings, the streets, or the ground, everything was inevitably turned into ruins. The ground directly exposed a rock plate, and a deep hole was blasted open. After an unknown amount of time, the black light ball slowly stopped and turned into a black filter and disappeared. If it was not for the collapsed buildings and the deep hole in the ground, I am afraid that everything that happened just now would be considered a dream. In the center of the deep hole, a figure wearing a white and gold robe that's similar to a noble's uniform quietly stood there. Slowly opening her eyes, a pair of wine-red, gem-like eyes appeared in her eyes. She looked as if she just woke up from a dream and raised her head. Gorgeous clothes and a pair of beautiful red gem-like eyes. Even if the newcomer's face is the type that needs to be looked at carefully to see the beauty, she is still very elegant and graceful. However, in the next moment, she made a move that completely broke this elegant temperament. Under the influence of the wine-red eyes, the charming face directly collapsed. She raised a hand and wiped the cold sweat on her forehead. Then, a curse came out from her mouth. F***CK. Must you trick me like this every time? This is not without reason. Wu Yin has entered a total of 3 dungeons. In these 3 dungeons, other than the Whirlwind the Butler world where he entered the Magic Catalog world, because of the character setting, he became a scumbag who molests innocent women. This time, because of the lesson from last time, Wu Yin did not use the character insertion card. Instead, he directly fell from the sky together with the spacequake. Is there anything worse than this? Of course there is. System, didn't the spacequake materialize? Why did it still happen? User, you did not materialize the spacequake. Huh? Didn't I say confirm in my mind? User reminder. You only said confirm in your mind. You did not say freeze in your mind. Fine, I was wrong. Reminder, user. When you want to materialize the spacequake, please say confirm and freeze in your mind. Why do I feel like hitting someone? At this time, a few stars suddenly lit up in the distant sky. It attracted Wu Yan's attention. He looked up and saw 5 girls in mechs carrying various mechanical weapons. With the support of a flamethrower, they were flying towards him at an extremely fast speed. Wu Yan was a little surprised. Land Self-Defense Force versus Elf Squad AST. That's right. The 5 girls flying towards Wu Yan with a Land Self-Defense Force versus Elf Squad AST. As the name suggests, this is a squad that specializes in dealing with and killing elves. The girl in the lead had short white hair that reached her shoulders. Her face was expressionless like a doll's. A pair of blue eyes stared straight at Wu Yan as if she was staring at a mortal enemy. Kite origami. Wu Yan frowned when he saw the appearance of the girl who hated the elves in the original work and the mech armor they are wearing. He bitterly chuckled to himself. They can't be thinking of themselves as elves, right? The truth was just as Wu Yan guessed. With the arrival of the spacequake, who else could it be other than elves? Although the AST had equipment to detect elves, no one would deliberately check for elves on Wu Yan at this moment. Only elves could come with the arrival of the spacequake. This idea was already deeply ingrained in the hearts of the AST. The 5 AST members, including Kite Origami, were stunned when they saw that the elf beneath them was a man. A trace of doubt flashed across their eyes. As far as they know, the elves that have appeared in the past were all female. Why is there a male now? Of course, this thought only lasted for a moment before it was thrown to the back of their minds. Just because they haven't seen elves before doesn't mean they don't exist. Their mission is to kill elves, not female elves. Therefore, when they approached again, the 5 girls raised their weapons at the same time. In the next moment, countless cannonballs were fired from their weapons and bombarded Wu Yan. The wine-red pupils of Wu Yan's eyes were fixed. A bluish-white electric current flashed across his forehead and flew out, colliding with the incoming cannonballs. Boom, 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 boom. In the sky, there was a sudden explosion of fire. Chapter 407. The flames lit up the entire sky, illuminating the cold faces of the 5 AST members. With 5 sonic booms, the 5 AST members directly passed through the dense flames. The flamethrowers on their backs blew away the flames as they charged straight at Zhang Hong. Then the missiles that blotted out the sky and covered the earth shot out once again. Raising his eyebrows, Wu Yan looked at the missiles flying in the sky and the 5 expressionless girls behind them. He sighed and slowly raised his head. Although he really wanted to explain to them that he was not an elf, under such circumstances, he could guess that even if he did, the 5 members of AST would most likely not listen to him. It was more likely that they would act first and report later. Especially since among the 5, there's also Origami Kite, who hates elves because her parents died under the power of elves. I can only fight first. Countless crimson spatial ripples spread out from Wu Yan's back. The scale is even wider than the missiles that blotted out the line of sight. Like countless stones thrown into the water, the ripples reverberated in the space. Black swords comparable in number to the missiles stretched out and pointed towards the sky. In the next moment, the whistling sound of missiles flying through the air was accompanied by the sound of explosions. The iron sand swords cut through the air as if they had been carefully calculated. Each of the iron sand swords pierced the warhead of the missile without the slightest mistake, cutting the missile that had yet to explode in half. Then, the iron sand swords whizzed through the exploding missile and shot towards the girls of AST. Seemingly aware that their missiles are useless against elves, the 5 girls didn't change their expressions. The flamethrowers on their backs sped up and dodged in all directions. Then, they continued to charge towards Wu Yan. However, the iron sand swords aren't those missiles that can only travel in a straight line. The countless iron sand swords are the product of Wu Yan's ability. A bolt of lightning flashed from Wu Yan's hand. Along with the sound of electricity, the iron sand swords trembled and reversed in the air. Then, they shot towards the girls who were charging towards Wu Yan. This time, the expressions of the 5 AST members finally changed a little. Even Kitsune Origami showed an expression of gritting her teeth. The iron sand swords shot backwards. The AST members could only helplessly stop their charging bodies and quickly dodge to the side. All of this was within Wu Yan's expectations. So, he showed a victorious smile. However, the next moment, the smile froze. Unlike the other AST members, Origami Kite only glanced at the iron sand swords behind her. Then, as if she didn't see them, she turned her head and stared at Wu Yan's face. The flamethrowers on her back sped up and flew towards Wu Yan's position. Wu Yan was shocked. He quickly withdrew the iron sand swords that were about to hit Origami Kite. At this time, Origami Kite had already arrived in front of Wu Yan. Floating in midair, she immediately raised the heavy cannon in her hand and aimed it at Wu Yan's face. Then, a laser beam shot out from it. The distance between the laser beam and Wu Yan is just a hair's breadth away from zero. With such a distance and the speed of the laser beam, it's impossible to dodge. However, that's not the case with infinite arms refinement. Wu Yan's combat skills can only be described as terrifying. Under this close-to-zero distance laser beam, Wu Yan tilted his head to the side in a very small way. The laser beam grazed Wu Yan's ear and shoulder and shot behind him. The burning sensation rose from Wu Yan's ear and shoulder. Wu Yan couldn't help but frown. Origami Kite did the same thing as Wu Yan. Origami Kite suddenly reached behind her and pulled out a light blue lightsaber from who knows where. She held the laser beam while waving the lightsaber and fiercely slashed at Wu Yan's head. However, when the lightsaber was halfway through, a hand reached out from under Origami Kite and grabbed her lightsaber hand. Origami Kite's slash was neutralized. When Origami Kite finally reacted, the laser beam was already shot out. Only the heavy cannon was left in front of Wu Yan and was fiercely grabbed by Wu Yan. Holding the laser cannon in one hand and Tabichi Origami's hand in the other, his wine-red eyes looked at the cold face in front of him, and he cursed in his heart. This Origami Kite really hates the elves to the bone. She actually desperately rushed in front of him to shoot at him. No wonder every time he faced the elves in the original work, she was the craziest one. Wu Yan also tasted something new. If it weren't for the fact that the infinite martial arts was simply superior in terms of skill, he would probably have to obediently take a shot from that round of attack just now. While Wu Yan was rejoicing in his heart, Origami Kite in front of him moved her body vigorously, trying to break free from Wu Yan's control. However, the other party's two hands were even stronger than a vice. Origami Kite could not move at all. At that moment, she actually used her head to hit Wu Yan, this crazy woman. With Wu Yan's true ancestor body, if Origami Kite really hit Wu Yan's head, she would definitely end up with a bloody head. At that moment, Wu Yan could only let go of Origami Kite's hand and retreat. Of course, Wu Yan wanted to let her go, but she did not want to let Wu Yan go. Origami Kite threw the laser cannon in her hand away. She held the light sword and charged at Wu Yan. After taking a few deep breaths, Wu Yan wished he could teach Origami Kite a good lesson. He had never fought such an aggrieved battle like today. He was merciful to his opponent, but his opponent beat him to death. If it weren't for Origami Kite having a deep reason to fight so hard, then even if she was a cute girl, Wu Yan would still beat her. But the next moment, Wu Yan could no longer have such thoughts. Ha! Origami Kite shouted coldly and rushed straight to Wu Yan. The light sword in her hand waved at Wu Yan with a violent frequency. In an instant, countless sword shadows cut through the air and slashed at Wu Yan. It can't be. Wu Yan was shocked. His wine-red pupils suddenly condensed. He did not dare to be careless anymore. With a hook of his finger, an iron sandsword shot down from the air and into Wu Yan's hand. With a stab, the iron sandsword stabbed one of the sword shadows. Suddenly, the countless sword shadows disappeared with Wu Yan's stab. The light sword in Origami Kite's hand was blocked by the iron sandsword. Origami Kite pulled back the light sword. Her body spun rapidly. The light sword in her hand was danced by Origami Kite into a sword wheel and slammed into the iron sandsword. Almost as soon as they collided, the iron sandsword broke with a kacha sound. Holding the remaining half of the iron sandsword, he couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. He couldn't stay calm anymore. This Origami Kite was just an ordinary person. How could her combat power be so heaven-defying? At this time, Wu Yan remembered that in the original work, Origami Kite was an existence that could fight hand-to-hand with the elf knight sword god Toka. Although a large part of Origami Kite's combat power was supported by the equipment provided by the AST, this could not hide Origami Kite's terrifying close combat ability. An ordinary person could actually fight against an elf. Even if she relied on equipment, it was enough to cause a storm in Wu Yan's heart. Sure enough, there was no girl in the 2D world who could not defy the heavens. Looking at the charging Origami Kite, Wu Yan looked up to the sky and sighed. There was no other way. If he held back, he would really be defeated. A pair of wine-red pupils turned, and a golden light flashed. Suddenly, the moment Wu Yan was about to use his strength, the ground under Wu Yan's feet opened up. Wu Yan, who could not react in time, was directly swallowed in. Then, it returned to its original state. Wu Yin only had time to say F***CK before falling in. Chapter 408. On top of the ruins, Origami stared blankly at the ground where Wu Yin was supposed to be standing. She only reacted when the ground returned to normal. Don't even think about running away. She didn't know what happened, but it was a fact that the elf disappeared in front of her. Origami bit her lips and raised her lightsaber to smash the ground. But when the ground broke open, it wasn't the cave where the elf was taken away, but a thick layer of steel plate. How did this happen? Origami was stunned. Could it be that someone deliberately saved the elf? Damn it! Origami raised her lightsaber again and slashed at the steel plate. But this time, it didn't even leave a scratch. Koichi Origami was not willing to give up. He waved his lightsaber again and again, trying to break the steel plate in front of him and kill the elf. For a moment, there was a continuous sound of swords clashing in the desolate ruins. What happened? At this time, the other 4 members of AST flew over and stopped in front of Origami. They couldn't find a chance to intervene at all. After Wu Yin disappeared, they still didn't know what happened. Her comrade's arrival calmed her down. She was originally a girl with no morals. If it wasn't for the fact that her opponent was an elf, she wouldn't have lost her composure. She glanced at the steel plate on the ground and said expressionlessly, "The target escaped." After that, Yoichi Origami no longer spoke. The other girls also knew Yoichi Origami's personality, so they didn't ask any more questions. Of course, the cause and effect were more or less guessed by them. The 4 AST girls looked at each other and flew into the sky together, raising the heavy cannons in their hands. Seeing this scene, Tobi Origami also left the place immediately. Then, countless cannonballs fell from the sky and landed on the steel plate. Under the ground, Wu Yin, who was caught off guard, used fine iron particles to wrap around his body. He stabilized himself and floated in the air. He looked up and saw that the space above him was completely covered by a thick layer of steel plate. Wu Yin could faintly hear an explosion coming from above the steel plate. He knew that it was either Origami or AST attacking the ground. He stayed silent for a while until he confirmed that AST couldn't break through the steel plate. Only then did he let out a sigh of relief. Although he's not happy about being tricked by such a retarded trap, he has to admit that this trap came at the right time. At least it solved his immediate problem. If it wasn't for this trap, he would have to take down Tabichi Origami first. That's not a big deal. The scary thing is that if he was the one being taken down, he would be in big trouble. Wu Yin doesn't think that Tabichi Origami would let him go. Don't think that Wu Yin was joking. He understood that with Origami's ability and AST's equipment, she wouldn't be at a disadvantage against a rank 8 powerhouse. Wu Yin is only level 69. His true strength is around rank 8. If he's not careful, Origami might succeed. Although he's a primogenitor, so he won't die. He tilted his body downwards, and his lips started twitching when he saw the bottomless pit. Who has a grudge against me? Who was the one who tricked me in the name of saving me? Such a deep pit. Is it to save me from the sea of bitterness, or is it to directly throw me to my death? After cursing in his heart, Wu Yin sighed. No matter what, he fell into this pit on purpose. Since the other party helped him block AST's attack, it shouldn't be an enemy. Let's go down and take a look. Wu Yin's wine-red eyes stared at the space below. He swooped down and flew down. The more he flew down, the more Wu Yin was sure that the guy who made the pit was trying to kill him. He's been flying for about 10 minutes, and there's still no bottom. Wu Yin started getting impatient as he looked at the monotonous rock trays. After 20 minutes, the ground finally appeared in front of him. However, Wu Yin didn't feel happy at all, because there's a person there. A man with blonde hair and brown eyes who looked like a handsome Western man. Wu Yin narrowed his eyes when he saw this person. Information about this person instantly appeared in his mind. Kanazuki Kyuhei, Radatasker's deputy commander. Radatasker is an organization similar to AST. The reason why they are similar is because Radatasker and AST are specialized in dealing with elves. The only difference is that AST advocates killing elves while Radatasker advocates rescuing elves. The person in front of Wu Yin is Radatasker's deputy commander. He's a person who left a deep impression on Wu Yin. Of course, there are two reasons why he left a deep impression on Wu Yin. First, Radatasker's deputy commander is Kanazuki Kyuhei. The commander is Itsuka Kodori, one of the main female characters in the original novel. Second, Kanazuki Kyuhei is a masochist. On the other hand, Kanazuki Kyuhei didn't know that Wu Yin already knew everything about him. He looked at Wu Yin with a serious expression on his face. If one were to look at him from the surface, one wouldn't be able to tell that this handsome man with Western features is a masochist. After a while, Wu Yin landed in front of Kanazuki Kyuhei. He stared at him with his red eyes. Kanazuki Kyuhei felt pressured. Kanazuki Kyuhei took a deep breath and bowed to Wu Yin. "Nice to meet you. I am Kanazuki Kyuhei, Radatasker's deputy commander." Wu Yin smiled faintly. Of course, he knows about this. This isn't what he really cares about. "So, you were the one who stopped those who wanted to kill me?" "Yes." "Why?" Kanazuki Kyuhei stood up and looked at Wu Yin. "Our commander wants to see you." "Itsuka Kodori wants to see me?" Wu Yin flinched for a bit. Then he understood what happened. Radatasker's goal was to save all fairies. He came to this world along with the Spacequake, so there was no way Radatasker didn't notice him. However, Itsuka Kodori should know how powerful the elves are, and they don't have a good relationship with the humans. Why would she send someone to bring me to her in the first place? Isn't she afraid that I'll kill this masochist? Or does Itsuka Kodori already know that I'm not a fairy? With that in mind, Wu Yin tilted his head and said, "If that's the case, lead the way." Kanazuki Kyuhei froze and looked at Wu Yin in shock. He thought it would take a lot of effort to bring this powerful guy to Radatasker's headquarters. He didn't expect Wu Yin to be so straightforward. However, it's still a good thing that he achieved his goal. Kanazuki Kyuhei smiled. "Well then, please follow me." Just as Kanazuki Kyuhei was about to lead the way, Wu Yin suddenly spoke. "Oh, right." Under Kanazuki Kyuhei's confused gaze, Wu Yin walked up to him and threw a punch at his face. "Ah!" Kanazuki Kyuhei screamed in pain and was sent flying. Wu Yin blew on his fist and walked forward. "This is what you get for tricking me." Chapter 409. Above Heavenly Palace City, 15,000 meters away. This is an endless stretch of sky. There's not a single cloud in sight. Birds don't pass by here either. The only thing here is strong enough to blow a person away. However, when the wind blows past a certain area, it will strangely split into two and can't go any further. It's as if there's a wall in front of them that's blocking their path. That's exactly what happened. In a place that can't be seen with the naked eye, there's a huge airship floating in the air. It's like a flying fortress guarding it without anyone noticing. Fraxinus was the name of this airship. It could also be called the headquarters of Radatasker. Under Kanazuki Kyuhei's lead, Wu Yin boarded the airship. He followed Kanazuki Kyuhei to the command room. The commander of Radatasker, Itsuka Kodori, is waiting for him. Looking around the interior of Fraxinus, Wu Yin couldn't help but sigh. In this world, technology has developed to a certain degree. Whether it's the existence of Fraxinus or the powerful equipment in AST, it's clear that this is the case. In terms of technological power, the world of Date Battle was definitely not inferior to the Academy City of the Magic Catalog world. It's just that in this world, all of the technology was developed for the elves. In some aspects, compared to Academy City, this world was still lacking. However, in terms of using technology to increase one's strength, this world was undoubtedly more advanced, at least in terms of the elves. After passing through a series of automatic doors, another one opened, and a spacious command room appeared in front of Wu Yin. On the opposite side, there was a screen that was even bigger than a movie screen. Under the screen, there were 2 rows of seats. Above the seats, there was also a screen that was about the size of a television. Directly opposite the screen, there was a high platform. That high platform was the commander's station. When Wu Yin saw the command center, Wu Yin stopped and looked at it. There's a petite figure sitting there. Her long red hair was tied into 2 ponytails with black ribbons. The black ribbon stood on top of the ponytails, looking like two long ears. It was very likable, and under the hair was a cute and delicate little face. She's wearing a school uniform. It's probably Ratatosker's uniform. She's wearing a red jacket with black stripes. It makes her petite figure look even more majestic. It's Sukakoteri, the younger sister of the original main character. She's the commander of Ratatosker. She's also an elf. Of course, no one knows it's Sukakoteri's identity as an elf. Maybe Kamizuki Kuhei and Murasame Rain know, but Wien isn't stupid enough to say it out loud. Beside its Sukakoteri, there was a woman with a silver ponytail and a tattered teddy bear in her chest pocket. She had dark circles under her eyes and looked like she was about to die. She was the analyst of Ratatosker, Murasame Rain. At the head of the table, Koteri propped up her chin with one hand while holding a lollipop in the other. She stared at Wu Yin with her red eyes that were as red as her hair. Then she laughed. "Welcome to Ratatosker." After that, Itsuka Koteri stopped talking. She frowned and looked at Kamizuki Kuhei in confusion. "By the way, what happened to your face?" Kanazuki Kuhei smiled embarrassedly and put down his hand that had been covering his face. His handsome face was now swollen like a pig's head, which made Koteri and Murasame Rain couldn't help but laugh. Kamizuki Kuhei laughed awkwardly and quickly put up a serious face. He raised his fist and coughed. His swollen face made him look even more hilarious. The person who caused all this is standing there with an innocent look on his face. It's like he has nothing to do with this. Kamizuki Kuhei gritted his teeth. If it wasn't for the fact that he's too weak, he would have pounced on him. In Kamizuki Kuhei's mind, the only person who can bully him is the commander. Itsuka Koteri sucked on a lollipop in her hand and ignored Kamizuki Kuhei. Kamizuki Kuhei's face was covered in tears. Koteri's expression turned serious. She rolled her eyes, and she asked in a soft voice, You're not a fairy, are you?" Wu Yin raised an eyebrow and shrugged. "I don't think I said I was an elf." Itsuka Koteri turned around and looked at the screen. Wu Yin descended from the sky with Spacequake and destroyed everything around him. "If you're not an elf, then why did you descend with Spacequake?" Kanazuki Kuhei and Rei Murasame stared at Wu Yin while Itsuka Koteri stared at the screen. The command room fell into a deafening silence. After a while, the screen stopped and Itsuka Koteri looked at Wu Yin. It's obvious that she wanted Wu Yin to answer her question. Wu Yin chuckled and looked at Itsuka Koteri. "Why can't I descend with Spacequake if I'm not an elf?" Wu Yin asked. Itsuka Koteri, Kanazuki Kuhei, and Murasame Rain were stunned. Wu Yin looked at Itsuka Koteri and he continued. "Even without the Spacequake, the elves can still descend. As members of the elven faction, I'm sure you guys are aware of this. It's not strange for non-elves to descend along with the Spacequake." "It's not strange." "Of course not." Itsuka Koteri and the others screamed in their hearts, but they didn't refute him. Itsuka Koteri straightened her back. "All right, if you're not an elf, then what are you? Are you a human?" "I've never heard of a human descending with Spacequake." Wu Yin smiled bitterly at Itsuka Koteri's words. Humans in the past they were, but now they are no longer. Itsuka Koteri's body trembled and her expression changed. She looked at Wu Yin with her red eyes and said with a trembling voice, What do you mean?" Kamizuki Kuhei and Rei Murasame were shocked by Itsuka Koteri's reaction. They've never seen Itsuka Koteri like this before. Wu Yin was silent. He knew why Itsuka Koteri was acting like this. Itsuka Koteri was just like him. She started as a human, but 5 years ago, Itsuka Koteri received some kind of power and became an elf. Maybe his words resonated with Itsuka Koteri. Wu Yin sighed and said with a smile, "In order to obtain some power, so..." Itsuka Koteri looked at Wu Yin with a complicated expression. After a while, she took a deep breath and recovered. She said to Wu Yin, "You said you're not a human and you're not an elf. Then what are you?" "What am I?" Wu Yin shrugged and pretended to ponder. "I guess I'm a vampire." "Vampire?" Itsuka Koteri, Kamizuki Kuhei, and Rei Murasame looked at each other and laughed. They thought Wu Yin was talking nonsense. Wu Yin smiled casually. He told them the truth. Chapter 410. Sometimes people will doubt a lie, but they won't believe the truth. This is the perfect example. If a true ancestor wasn't a vampire, then no vampire would be qualified to be called a vampire. Well, that's because the true ancestor was a vampire. Wu Yin didn't lie, but they just didn't believe him, vampire. Coterie looked at Wu Yin with a serious expression and said mercilessly, "Are you an idiot? If you want an excuse, at least come up with a better one. Vampires don't exist in this world." Wu Yin crossed his arms and shook his head with a chuckle. "So you're saying that elves do exist in this world?" Coterie was rendered speechless by Wu Yin. She pursed her lips and retorted, "But elves do exist in our world. Do you have any proof that you're a vampire?" Itsuka Coterie chuckled to herself and put the pearl into her mouth. She mumbled, "How is that possible? If there was, the werewolves would have been executed long ago." Wu Yin lowered his head and fell silent. Itsuka Coterie isn't going to let Wu Yin off the hook so easily. She mocked him again. "Say, did you get hit in the head by Spacequake because you're not a spirit, but you came here together with Spacequake? Don't worry. Even though Ratatosker is an elven organization, we will still lend a helping hand to those who are in trouble. Do you need me to contact a mental hospital for you?" Her words were really vicious, as expected of Itsuka Coterie, who was in commander mode. Her vicious tongue was on full display. Speaking of which, I have to mention that Itsuka Coterie has two personalities. One of them is the cold and vicious commander mode, while the other is the naive and cheerful sister mode. The two personalities are worlds apart. When Coterie wore a black ribbon, she would be in commander mode. When she wore a white ribbon, she would be a cute little girl. She would be in little sister mode. Now, Itsuka Coterie is wearing a black ribbon on her head. She's in her commander mode with her venomous tongue. Just look at how venomous Itsuka Coterie can be when she's in this mode. She didn't hesitate to taunt Wu Yin when they first met. Qei and Rei Murasame seemed to be used to Coterie's vicious tongue, so they didn't say anything. Coterie, on the other hand, had a bad feeling after mocking Wu Yin. Wu Yin started walking towards Itsuka Coterie on the command deck. Itsuka Coterie flinched and she wrinkled her nose. "What are you doing? Didn't you want to see the evidence?" Wu Yin raised his head and he flashed a radiant smile at Coterie. His words sent chills down Coterie's spine. "Let me suck your blood and you'll know." "Blood, blood." Itsuka Coterie shrunk her head subconsciously, but she quickly realized she was showing weakness, so she quickly straightened her back. "Sure, I want to see if the so-called vampires really exist." "Is that so?" Wu Yin giggled, and he jumped onto the command platform before Kanazuki Qei and Murasame Rain could react. Coterie jumped in fright. "Then I won't hold back." As soon as he said that, Itsuka Coterie felt her hair stand on end. She was completely dumbfounded. Wu Yin slowly opened his mouth and revealed two sharp fangs. Speaking of which, this is the first time Wu Yin bared his fangs. He didn't think that the first time he bared his fangs would be under such circumstances. But it's not a big deal. The first time he sucked blood, he sucked his own blood anyway. Itsuka Coterie is completely stunned. Wu Yin pressed down on her shoulders, and he slowly inched his way toward her neck. "I'm going to move." When Wu Yin spoke slowly, Coterie finally reacted. She saw the two sharp fangs in Wu Yin's mouth, and she was scared. "No!" Itsuka Coterie yelled. She placed her hands on Wu Yin's chest and pushed him away with all her might. But how can she beat Wu Yin in terms of strength? As a result, a scene of rape unfolded in the spacious command room. "Commander!" Kanazuki Qei was shocked. His handsome face, no, his pig face was furious. He forgot about Wu Yan's combat ability and rushed towards the command desk. "Commander, I'm coming to save you." A foot appeared on Qei Kanazuki's face as he was kicked off the podium. It was Itsuka Coterie's little foot that was kicking him off the podium while she was struggling to free herself. "Stop! Stop it!" Coterie pushed Wu Yin with all her might, but Wu Yin didn't budge at all. Coterie screamed with her eyes closed. For the first time in her life, Coterie wished that she still had her fairy power. "Be a good girl and don't move. Let me suck you," Wu Yin said unhappily. "Didn't you want to prove yourself? Why did you reject me?" "There's no need for that. There's no need for that. I believe you." Itsuka Kotori said with tears in her eyes. She did believe it. After all, the two sharp fangs might be fake, but the fear that came from the bottom of her heart was real. Her instincts told her that the person before her was indeed a vampire. Wuyan stopped moving his mouth towards Kotori's neck. His lips curled into a smirk. Wuyan looked at Kotori's face and smiled evilly. Do you really believe me? You don't need me to prove myself? No, no, no. Itsuka Kotori shook her head like a rattledrum. However, her head stopped abruptly and her eyes widened. She stared at Wu Yan's hand with disbelief. Wu Yan looked at Kotori in confusion. He looked at his hand and scratched his head. What's wrong? Is there something wrong? Kotori stared at Wu Yan's hand blankly. She didn't react at all. Suddenly, tears welled up in Kotori's eyes. She stood up and grabbed Wu Yan's hand. What are you doing? Wu Yan was shocked by Kotori's actions. Kotori ignored Wu Yan and reached for Wu Yan's hand. To be more precise, she reached for the white bracelet on Wu Yan's wrist. It's the sealing bracelet. Itsuka Kotori caressed the sealing bracelet on Wu Yan's wrist in a daze. Her eyes were filled with nostalgia, excitement, and enchantment. She looked like she had been searching for something for a very long time, and now she finally found it. I say, Wu Yan stared blankly at Kotori. He asked awkwardly, What's wrong with you? Is there something wrong with my bracelet? Itsuka Kotori looked at Wu Yan with her red eyes. She seemed to be reminiscing about something. She raised her hand, and her sleeve slid down. Wu Yan's pupils shrank when he saw the scene that appeared in front of him. The sealing bracelet! Wu Yan exclaimed. That's right. It's a red sealing bracelet in front of Wu Yan. So you do know him? Kotori exhaled. She stared at Wu Yan's face. She no longer felt like she just met him for the first time. Instead, she felt a sense of familiarity. How could this be? The sealing bracelet caught Wu Yan off guard. Itsuka Kotori opened her mouth and said, Don't worry, Wu Yan can't handle it. Hey, do you want to join Ratatosker? Chapter 411. Listen up. Don't let the cat out of the bag in front of my family. Otherwise, you'll have to sleep on the streets. Kotori reminded Wu Yan for the nth time in front of her house. It seems like she's worried about Wu Yan's character. Wu Yan's heart twitched when he saw that. Wu Yan wanted to look up at the sky and let out a long sigh, but when he raised his head and saw the house in front of him, he stopped what he was about to do, and his expression turned weird. How did he end up going home with Itsuka Kotori? Wu Yan himself is confused as to why he ended up going home with her. When he saw the red sealing bracelet on Itsuka Kotori's wrist, Wu Yan's mind went haywire. He had no idea what's going on here. It was his first time in this world, and it was his first time meeting Kotori. Why was she wearing the sealing bracelet? Could it be that the sealing bracelet exists in this world? As soon as the thought popped up in his mind, the system notification told Wu Yan that the sealing bracelet can only be found in the system. In other words, the sealing bracelet on Kotori's wrist came from the system. But then again, there's no way to explain this. He and Kotori just met today, and they didn't know each other at all. He's never been to this world before. More importantly, other than that time with Flander-chan, he's never exchanged for another sealing bracelet. Where did the sealing ring in the 5 Rivers Zither come from? If the red sealing bracelet appeared, where did the white sealing bracelet go? If Kotori was wearing the sealing bracelet, could it be that her elven powers were sealed by the sealing bracelet? These 3 questions have been lingering in Wu Yan's mind ever since he saw the sealing bracelet on Kotori's wrist. When Kotori asked if he wanted to join Ratatosker, Wu Yan nodded. And so, Wu Yan officially became a member of Ratatosker. He's a combat commander too. Ratatosker isn't inferior to AST in any other aspect. In fact, they're even better than AST in certain aspects. Their only weakness is that Ratatosker's attitude towards elves is to save them. That's why Ratatosker can't even compare to a normal army, let alone AST. Wu Yan's appearance just so happens to make up for this weakness. After all, Kotori and the others saw Wu Yan's combat prowess on the big screen. He's even comparable to the elves. With this kind of combat prowess, it would be a waste of Wu Yan's status if he doesn't become a combat commander. As for why Wu Yan would follow Kotori home, Wu Yan doesn't know either. According to Kotori, it's because Do you have anywhere else you can go? Wu Yin thought about it for 0.01 seconds and agreed without hesitation. Wu Yin brought quite a bit of gold from Silveria before he came to this world. It's more than enough for him to buy a villa. But rather than living in a house by himself, he might as well go home with a cute girl. Wu Yin is also curious about the main character of this world, Itsuka Shido. The main characters of Whirlwind, the Butler, and Magic Catalog are both unlucky. If he gets close to them, Wu Yin is worried that their bad luck might be contagious. Compared to the other two, Itsuka Shido is much easier to get along with. Most importantly, Itsuka Shido was an honorable planner of the Light Clan. The arrogant Itsuka Kotori was conquered by Itsuka Shido when she was young. In other words, Itsuka Kotori has a brother complex. Wu Yin looked at Itsuka Kotori with a regretful look. She's a cute chick, but she's already been taken over by someone else. It's not like the person who did it is a scumbag. Wu Yin has no interest in NTR other people. Of course, Itsuka Kotori shivered when she saw Wu Yan's regretful gaze. She bared her fangs and said angrily, "What are you up to this time?" Wu Yin chuckled dryly and muttered, "Why do you say again?" "Huh." Itsuka Kotori harumphed. She turned around and looked at the entrance of her house. She hesitated for a moment before she turned around and said, "Listen up. Don't let the cat out of the bag in front of my family. Otherwise, you'll really have to sleep on the streets." Wu Yan's face crumbled in an instant. "You've told me that many times. I'm just worried that you won't remember. What should I do so that I won't give myself away? I've thought about it for a long time." Itsuka Kotori thought for a moment and said reluctantly, "I'll say that you're my long-lost brother." Wu Yan almost choked on his own breath. His brows twitched. He couldn't stay calm. "My long-lost brother. What a sharp excuse. What's wrong? Can I change it?" "No. No." Itsuka Kotori exhaled and turned around to face the door. She took off the black ribbon on her head and took out a pair of white ribbons from her pocket. She put them on her own head. Wu Yan's eyes lit up. He watched Itsuka Kotori's actions with interest. He knew that she would turn into a cute little sister after putting on the white ribbons. Wu Yan was looking forward to it. Wu Yan's expectations were proven right. When Itsuka Kotori turned around again, the cold expression on her face was gone. It was replaced by an innocent and cute smile. She blinked at Wu Yan and said with a smile, "Go in, Oni-chan." When that soft Oni-chan entered Wu Yan's ears, an inexplicable warmth filled his body. It's as if he's soaking in a hot spring. It's comfortable to the extreme. Itsuka Kotori didn't know that her Oni-chan almost awakened a certain someone's strange nature. She opened the door of her house and shouted in a cheering tone, "I'm back." Itsuka Kotori's sweet voice made Wu Yan smile. He had to admit, Itsuka Kotori in her little sister mode is really cute. However, when another sweet voice entered Wu Yan's ears, Wu Yan was completely dumbfounded. "You're back, Kotori." A figure slowly walked out of the house. When he saw the figure, Wu Yan's dumbfounded expression completely twisted. Her long, dark blue hair was draped over her frail shoulders, and her bangs were neatly spread across her forehead. Just a little bit more, and it would cover her slightly dark pupils. On the left side of her bangs, there was a tuft of hair tied up with a hairband. At the end of the band was a cute hair accessory, adding a bit of cuteness to its owner's already extraordinary appearance. She was holding a spatula and wearing an apron. She was smiling at Kotori, her eyes filled with love and adoration. "That's right. It's her big sister." Itsuka Kotori smiled happily and cheered. She threw herself at her and hugged her arm. It seems like they're very close. However, the word big sister from Itsuka Kotori caused Wu Yan to have a mental breakdown. Big sister. Yes, Itsuka Kotori smiled and hugged her big sister. She said to Wu Yan, "This is my big sister, Shirori Itsuka." Chapter 412. Itsuka Shirori. Itsuka Kotori's older sister? Female? What about Itsuka Shido? Did Itsuka Shido turn into a girl? Is this Itsuka Shirori, the main character of the original novel? Looking at the two girls hugging each other intimately, Wu Yan felt a bit absent-minded. He had imagined a lot of situations where he would come into contact with the main character, but he didn't expect the final outcome to be like this. In the original work, Itsuka Shido did dress up as a woman. However, that was because he was trying to woo a certain elf who hated men. Wu didn't believe that Itsuka Shido would dress up as a woman at home, or at least, he didn't have a habit of dressing up as a woman. Wu swallowed his saliva and smiled awkwardly. He turned to Itsuka Kotori and asked in a serious tone, do you only have one older sister in your family? Yes, Itsuka Kotori looked at Wu Yin strangely. She didn't understand why Wu Yin acted like this when he saw her older sister, but she still answered honestly. Are you sure you don't have an older brother? Itsuka Kotori shook her head quickly. Her two red ponytails swung back and forth, giving her a youthful vibe. Nope, I only have one older sister. Wu Yan's mouth twitched. In his mind, the thousands of tables in front of him have been destroyed by Wu Yan in the most violent way possible. He didn't expect Itsuka Shido to really turn into a girl. At this moment, Wu Yan felt like the date battle world that he was familiar with has become a stranger. The sealing ring that appeared out of nowhere. The main character of the original novel turned into a girl. Even if the plot characters are still the same people. No more, no less. At most, one of the main characters will be turned into a girl. But Wu Yan can't be sure if things will continue the way they did in the original work in this world. When Wu Yan had this thought, he didn't know if the story would continue the same way as the original novel. Everything that happens next is beyond his expectations. Shirori furrowed her brows as she looked at Wu Yan, whose expression kept changing. She also noticed the weird questions he asked her. She pulled Itsuka Kotori and whispered into her ear. Kotori, who is this person? He looks really strange and suspicious. If Itsuka Kotori was in commander mode, she would be shocked by her sister's intuition. She would then reveal all the strange and suspicious things about Wu Yan without hesitation. Of course, Itsuka Kotori was a good girl in her younger sister mode. She shook her head as if she was trying to defend herself. He's not a strange person. Itsuka Kotori stepped forward and opened her hand. She grinned mischievously at Wu Yan. Sister, let me introduce you. This is Kotori's long-lost older brother. Long-lost older brother? Itsuka Kotori's words didn't make Shirori feel relieved. It made her even more confused. Kotori, how come I've never heard of you having a long-lost older brother? It's reasonable for Shirori to ask such a question. After all, Shirori isn't Kotori's biological sister. Even though Shirori and Kotori have been living together for a long time, Shirori isn't sure if Kotori had a long-lost older brother. Kotori scratched her head and stuck her tongue out at Shirori. She said embarrassedly, It's because I didn't know before. I only found out recently that I have an older brother. Is that so? Shirori was still confused. She didn't know where Kotori found out she had a brother and where did she go to find him. Shirori was confused about all of this. However, when she saw Kotori's mischievous look, she knew she was familiar with Kotori. At the very least, she won't be able to get any answers from Kotori. Shirori looked at Wu Yan. She had her doubts, but since Kotori said so, Shirori had no choice but to believe her. They still have a long way to go. Shirori decided to help Kotori keep an eye on her. She didn't want the naive Kotori to get scammed. Welcome to the Itsuka family. Shirori smiled at Wu Yan and bowed. I'm Shirori Itsuka. I'm Kotori's legal older sister. Nice to meet you. Of course not. Wu Yan turned his head away. To be honest, he really doesn't know how to deal with this feminine main character of the original work. Whether or not the main character is feminine has nothing to do with him, but the fact that Wu Yan was caught off guard is a fact. Suddenly, Wu Yan's eyes lit up, and he looked at Itsuka Kotori, who was giggling. The protagonist is feminine. In other words, Itsuka Kotori was not conquered by the main character. Wu Yan, who was feeling a bit depressed because things didn't turn out the way he had envisioned, the gloomy mood of a second ago suddenly brightened up. Even his mood became a lot more cheerful. Kotori didn't know she was being targeted by a wolf. She saw Wu Yan's expression change and his eyes darting around. He didn't even greet Shirori. This made Kotori anxious. To prevent the atmosphere from turning awkward, Kotori jumped out and faced her older sister. Sis, Oni Ai-chan will be living with us from now on. Please make sure to cook for one more person. I see. Shirori nodded and smiled at Wu Yin. Then I'll go help this. Wu Yin and Kotori knew that Shirori didn't know how to address the other party. Wu Yin didn't even introduce himself since the start of the meeting. Wu Yin wanted to introduce himself, but Kotori thought Wu Yin was still in a daze. She quickly said, Sis, Oni Ai-chan's name is Itsuka. Itsuka. Kotori's eyes lit up, and she said something that left Wu Yin flabbergasted. Shido. Oni Ai-chan's name is Itsuka Shido. The name Itsuka Shido reverberated throughout the room. The three of them reacted differently. Kotori had a smile on her face, as if she was proud of herself for coming up with a good name. Shirori, on the other hand, had a weird expression on her face. The name Itsuka Shido and Shirori sound more like a pair of siblings. Wu Yin, on the other hand, who already has the name Itsuka Shido, his heart contracted. His expression changed to one of embarrassment. Itsuka Shido. My name. How should I react? Wu Yin forced a smile as he looked at the happy Kotori. Itsuka Shido. Kotori made a funny face at Wu Yin. She tried to tell herself not to be so embarrassed. How would Kotori know what the name Itsuka Shido represents? Is there anything you're not happy about? Oni Ai-chan. No. He's the main character now. What's there to be unhappy about? Shirori tilted her body, and she told Wu Yin. Well then, Shido-kun, let's go inside first. Once I'm done cooking, I will help Shido-kun clean up her room. Wu Yin had nothing to say. He smiled helplessly at Shirori. Then, I'll have to trouble you, Shirori. Shirori smiled sweetly. Since Shido-kun is Kotori's brother, then you're my brother as well. Please don't be shy. Just treat this place as your home. Oni Ai-chan, let me introduce you to this house. Itsuka Kotori nodded. She grabbed Wu Yin and Shirori by the hand, and they walked into the house. Chapter 4:13. Heavenly Palace City, Itsuka's home. Morning, Itsuka's home. Itsuka Shirori is already in the kitchen humming a tune. She skillfully flipped the pot in her hand. She looks like a virtuous cook. It's obvious that she enjoys cooking. In one of the rooms, Wu Yin, who has gotten used to sleeping and didn't seem to be affected by the change of location, in bed. He's still sleeping soundly under his blanket. It's as if he's not going to stop until the sky falls and the earth rend apart. At some point, Wu Yin's door opened and a girl with 2 red ponytails and a white ribbon poked her head out from behind the door. She looked around furtively before looking at the bed. Oni Ai-chan found it. Itsuka Kotori covered her mouth and giggled. She tiptoed to the bed like a thief. When she was less than 1 meter away from Wu Yan's bed, Kotori yelled, and she jumped up from the ground. She pounced on Wu Yan's bed, and she stomped on Wu Yan's body. Oni Ai-chan, wake up. Itsuka Kotori giggled as she danced around Wu Yan. She stomped her feet on the bed in an attempt to wake Wu Yan up from his slumber. However, Kotori weighs less than 40 kilograms. Even if she danced on Wu Yan's body, it's nothing to Wu Yan, who has the body of a true ancestor. She can't even tickle Wu Yan, let alone wake him up. Itsuka Kotori stopped, and she glared at Wu Yan, who is still snoring away. She pursed her lips, and she jumped up again. She kicked Wu Yan in the stomach with a flying kick. This time, no matter how light she is, Wu Yan can't ignore it. Wu Yan woke up when he felt the pain in his stomach. Oh, Oni Ai-chan, good morning. Kotori greeted Wu Yan with a smile. Of course, if she wasn't standing on top of Wu Yan, it would be more convincing. Logically speaking, no matter how good Wu Yan's temper is, having his sweet dream broken in such a rude manner would be hard for him to avoid grumbling. However, the moment he opened his eyes, he froze. That was because Itsuka Kotori, who was standing on top of him, was wearing a dress. Itsuka Kotori didn't know if she noticed that she's exposed or not. She assumed that Wu Yan hasn't woken up from his dream yet. She pouted and she raised her foot. She wanted to stomp down on him again. This action woke Wu Yan up from his stupor. He turned pale with fright because Kotori's foot missed his stomach by quite a bit. Wait! Wu Yan didn't have time to get up. When he saw Kotori's foot, he felt a chill between his legs. Wu Yan quickly grabbed Kotori's hand and pulled her down. Ah! Itsuka Kotori shrieked, and she lost her balance. She fell straight into Wu Yan's arms. Wu Yan subconsciously raised his arms and hugged her into his arms. Itsuka Kotori's body stiffened. She could feel the pair of hands around her waist and the scent of a man so close to her. Her mind was muddled, and she couldn't react in time. This is the first time Kotori has been so close to a man. Wu Yan didn't feel anything like Kotori. Wu Yan has been hugging girls in the Magic Catalog and Spalier World Academy. Even though the girl in his arms has changed, Wu Yan didn't feel anything. Wu Yan didn't know whether to laugh or cry as he looked at Itsuka Kotori. Say, Kotori, are you trying to wake me up, or do you want me to stay in bed forever? You were so cruel. Wu Yan felt weird. The scene where Kotori woke him up is exactly the same as the scene where Kotori woke Shido up in the original work. Could it be that not only had his name changed, but he had really become the main character of this world? Kotori looked up from Wu Yan's arms. She looked at Wu Yan's face and made sure Wu Yan didn't want to let go of her. She said weakly, Big brother, can you let go of me first? Wu Yan paused and realized he was holding Kotori in his arms. Wu Yan smiled when he saw Kotori's shy expression. Not only did he not let go of Kotori, he tightened his grip and pulled her into his embrace. Wu Yan's lips curled into a naughty grin. Let go. My naughty little sister woke up her big brother with a prank. How can I not punish her? Itsuka Kotori's face flushed red. Even her head felt a little dizzy. If it was a gentle hug before, then now it's a deep hug. Itsuka Kotori could even feel his thick chest pressing against her small breasts. I know I was wrong. Kotori stuttered as she pushed Wu Yan's chest. Wu Yan, who's in close proximity to Kotori, could feel Kotori's heart thumping furiously. You know you were wrong? That means you're going to accept your punishment, right? Wu Yan looked at Kotori's blushing face, and he told her in a gentle voice. Okay, Wu Yan said. Itsuka Kotori shrunk her neck timidly and asked in a soft voice, What punishment? What punishment? Wu Yan grinned. He grinned wickedly. What kind of punishment is that? Wu Yan's face inched closer to Kotori's. Ugh. Itsuka Kotori's already red face turned a deep shade of purple. Could it be that the so-called punishment was Wu Yan's face got closer and closer? Kotori's red eyes teared up. Her heartbeat sped up, and she didn't know what to do. She looked around as if she was looking for something that could save her. When Wu Yan's lips were about to touch hers, Kotori whimpered and closed her eyes. Wu Yan was overjoyed, and he almost laughed out loud. He didn't think that after only knowing her for a day, he would be able to conquer this girl with dual personality. Sure enough, soft girls are good, easy to bully. Just as he was about to kiss her and steal her kiss, Itsuka Kotori punched him in the face with her tiny fist. Wah! The sudden punch stunned Wu Yan. Since he wasn't on guard, the punch landed squarely on Wu Yan's nose. Wu Yan felt something sour and sweet rushing up his nose. He let go of Kotori and covered his nose with his hand. You despicable pervert! Itsuka Kotori yelled at Wu Yan. Wu Yan noticed that the white ribbon on Itsuka Kotori's head was replaced with a black one. It's commander mode. Why? Wu Yan muttered. He didn't understand why Kotori changed her hair ribbon so quickly. But to Itsuka Kotori, it sounded like, why did you reject me? You still have the nerve to say that. Kotori raged at Wu Yan as she punched him again. How dare you kiss a girl you've only known for a day? Die. Chapter 414. Itsuka Shirori is holding a bowl of rice in her left hand. She didn't pick up the chopsticks in her right hand. She's looking at Wu Yan and Kotori with an odd expression on her face. No one can tell what she's thinking. The reason for this was not without reason. It was because the expression and behavior of the man and woman in front of him were too suspicious. One of them was engrossed in eating as if he had a grudge against the food in his bowl. The other was blushing as she kept grabbing her chopsticks. She didn't even realize that her bowl was already empty. It's too suspicious. Shirori glanced at the man and woman in front of her. After a while, Shirori couldn't hold back her curiosity and asked, What's wrong with you guys? As soon as Shirori finished speaking, Kotori's body trembled as if she was stimulated by something. She stood up with such force that even her chair fell to the ground. Kotori blushed and closed her eyes. She yelled at Shirori. Nothing. Nothing at all. Shirori froze on the spot. She looked at the shy Kotori and didn't understand why Kotori had such a big reaction. Did something really happen? Shirori tilted her head and looked at Wu Yin, who was shaking his head with a bitter smile. She asked carefully, "Did I miss something?" Shiori's words reminded Kotori of what happened this morning. Kotori blushed. Kotori felt lucky that she managed to stop the car at the last moment and changed into the black satin belt as fast as she could. Otherwise, Kotori doesn't dare to look at Wu Yin anymore. It's not only because Wu Yin wanted to do something beyond friendship with her. It's also because she punched Wu Yin twice in her commander mode. She was too embarrassed to face Wu Yin. Of course, Kotori wouldn't tell Shirori about this. Wu Yin also wouldn't bring up the fact that he got punched twice for his sister. Thus, the two of them fell silent. Seeing this, Shirori was even more certain that she must have missed something. Something must have happened between the two people in front of her. Shirori bit the end of her chopsticks and hesitated for a bit. She didn't force Lu Zhou to answer. Instead, she lowered her head. Ugh, I care so much. It has to be said that in every girl's heart, there is a flame of gossip. At this moment, a report came out from the TV. Early this morning, a small spatial quake was observed in the suburbs of Heaven Palace City. The damage was light, and there were no casualties. The cause of the spatial quake is currently being investigated. The report made the three of them stop eating. Wu Yin and Kotori's expression froze. Kotori's no longer shy. She looked at Wu Yin and relaxed when she saw his calm expression. If Kotori was in her commander mode, she wouldn't have gone looking for Wu Yin. She's just a cheerful, naive, and lively little girl. She doesn't have much of an opinion of her own when it comes to big matters like this. Wu Yin was confused by this difference. He doesn't know if Kotori's two personalities are really split personalities. On the surface, the two personalities share their memories. Kotori should know how to deal with spatial quakes calmly after seeing her other self as a commander. Of course, with such a profound question, he didn't even give the original story. How could Wu Yin come up with an answer in just one day? So, as usual, he'll just let it be. He'll cross the bridge when he comes to it anyway. Shirori didn't know that her two seemingly normal family members were in a different world from her, at least not for now. She looked at the TV and said, "Is it a bit too much lately? Shirori is obviously talking about spatial quakes." Kotori glanced at the TV and said casually, "Yeah, they came a little early too." Kotori whispered her last sentence very softly so Shirori didn't hear her. Wu Yin, on the other hand, heard her, and he chuckled before turning his back on her. Despite his nonchalant look, Wu Yin is actually very excited. Shirori and Kotori might not know what this news means, but how could Wu Yin not know? It means that the female lead of the original novel, Toka Toka, is about to arrive. Today was also the day where the storyline would begin. The atmosphere at the dinner table quieted down after the spatial quakes report. Shiori's heart sank when she heard about it. Wu Yin and Kotori had their own thoughts. Shirori recovered and looked at Wu Yin. "All right, Shido, what do you plan to do?" Wu Yin flinched when he heard that. He looked at her blankly. "What do I plan to do? What do you mean?" Shirori chuckled and said to Wu Yin, "Kotori and I are going to school soon. You're the only one left at home. Is that okay?" "Well, it's nothing." Wu Yin scratched his face. Before he could finish, Kotori stood up and cut him off. "Sis, you don't have to worry." Kotori wagged her finger. "Oni-chan won't be home alone." "Wait, Oni-chan is going to school with you." "What?" Wu Yin and Shirori were shocked. Wu Yin wanted to say something, but Kotori winked at him and signaled him to keep quiet. Wu Yin helplessly shrunk back into his seat. He knew that this must be Kotori's decision in her commander mode. Shirori looked at Wu Yin in surprise. "Shido, are you really going to school at Toritani Zen High?" "I think so." Wu Yin dryly laughed. He's more or less annoyed. He's already over 20 years old. He should be able to graduate from university. Now, he has to go back to high school. It was fine back in Silveria World Institute, since it was a completely different school, and they only learned combat. However, it was different here. They were going to school for real, and they had to carry a backpack around. If possible, Wu Yin really doesn't want to go. But no matter how unwilling he is, he still has to go. Ignoring the fact that he's a member of Ratatoskr, it's disrespectful to disobey the commander's orders. Plus, he's living under someone else's roof, so he can't refuse. Toritani Zen High is the school the original main character went to. Shirori is a feminine version of the original main character. She should be in the same class as Tokichi Origami. If I go to school there, I should be able to meet Kite 1 Origami. I wonder if that girl will be surprised when she sees me going to school. In the original work, Tashichi Origami was infatuated with the main character, Itsuka Shido. In the original work, Tashichi Origami wanted to give herself to Itsuka Shido countless times. Now Itsuka Shido has been replaced by Itsuka Shirori. Will Tashichi Origami still be infatuated with the main character like in the original work? If she is, then that's interesting. Kotori nodded in satisfaction when she saw that Wu Yin didn't expose her. Shirori smiled and said, "Then there's no problem. I was worried that you would be lonely at home." Wu Yin could only chuckle. In a world like this, how can one be lonely? Chapter 415. On the way to school, Kotori is jumping up and down while mumbling about the super deluxe children's meal. Shirori was reluctant when Kotori asked to go to the family restaurant for the super deluxe children's meal. But now, she has a knowing smile on her face. It's obvious that Shirori dotes on Kotori a lot. The two beauties had happy smiles on their faces. Along the way, they attracted a lot of attention. However, Wu Yin, who was walking beside Itsuka Shirori, had a helpless expression on his face. Of course, this isn't because Kotori wanted to eat the super deluxe children's meal. This is something that happened in the original story as well. Wu Yin expected this to happen, so he didn't feel anything against it. After all, Kotori's request to eat the children's meal was the start of the story. What makes Wu Yin helpless is the clothes he's wearing. To be more precise, it's a uniform. He was wearing a suit with a white shirt and a blue striped bow tie. His trousers were gray trousers and a black jacket. He was also carrying a briefcase-like backpack in his hand. He was completely dressed like a high school student. Wu Yin might be in his 20s, but with the uniform and his fair face, he does look like a high school student. At least, those who don't know Wu Yin wouldn't be able to tell that he's in his 20s. I don't know what Kotori did. Kotori just told me to go to school, and in the blink of an eye, she gave me this uniform. She even convinced Shirori to go to school. It's not that strange. In the original novel, Ratatoskr has the power to renovate commercial streets, restaurants, and hotels. With this kind of power, it's a piece of cake for Wu Yin to go to school. Thus, it was decided that Itoka Shido would be admitted to Durichi Zen High School. Wu Yin originally wanted to go to Fraxinus to wait for Yatan Toka to descend and take a look at the airship. But now, he decided to go with Shirori to the school instead. However, even if they went to the school, it wouldn't be of much use. After all, it wouldn't be long before the spacequake appeared. Everyone would have to run away to avoid it. And the next time, even the school would be directly destroyed by the spacequake. So whether they went to the school or not, would it matter? Too bad Wu Yin can't tell her about this. He can only follow Shirori to the school and act as a cameo. Soon, the three of them arrived at the family restaurant. Kotori turned around. "Okay, sis, Oni-chan. We'll meet here after school, I know." Shirori giggled at Kotori. Kotori pouted. She started telling the two to come after school, even if there's a spacequake. Shirori couldn't do anything about it. Wu Yin snickered on the inside. After Kotori left, the two of them looked at each other. Shirori said softly, "Then, Shido, let's go to school. It's a new semester. All the students have to report to the school." Wu Yin shrugged. He was about to follow Shirori to school when a figure hiding behind a telephone pole caught Wu Yan's attention. The person seemed to have noticed Wu Yan's attention. She quickly hid behind the pole. Wu Yan raised an eyebrow. A strange feeling rose in Wu Yan's heart. If Wu Yan is not mistaken, the person hiding behind the telephone pole should have a head of white shoulder-length hair. Tabichi Origami. Wu Yan's lips twitched. He sneaked a peek at the electric pole and then at Shirori, who was walking in front of him. He started to lose his cool. Is Tokichi Origami still infatuated with the main character like the original work? But Tokichi Origami has become Shirori. Now, Tokichi Origami is me. There's no way Tokichi Origami would fall for a fake main character like me. Could it be that Tokichi Origami's surname changed because the main character became a girl? In other words, Tokichi Origami is a Yuri? At this moment, Wu Yan's heart is filled with unbearable emotions. Wu Yan's expression is conflicted. What's wrong? Shido, hurry up, we're going to be late. I got it. On the other side, Tokichi Origami stuck her head out from behind the pole. She looked at Wu Yan and Shirori walking toward the school. She frowned slightly. That elf. Tokichi Origami looked at Wu Yan, who was walking away. Why is he here? What is his purpose? Together with Shirori Itsuka, Yuichi Origami tapped the watch on her wrist as if she was doing something. After a long time, she raised her head in confusion. The elf is here. Why is there no psychic wave reaction? He lifted his head and looked at the class sign with 2 to 4 written on it. He didn't say anything, but after a while, he let out a long sigh. Dori Lai-chan High School, 2nd year, 4th class, the original main character's class. Although Wu Yin had some guesses on the way here, he still got a headache when he was assigned to this class. There's Shirori and Tokichi Origami in this class. Did I really become the main character of this world? But I don't have the enviable ability to seal a fairy's power with just a kiss. In the classroom, the seemingly cute but age-head teacher also finished the opening speech of the new semester. She said to the students below, well, next, there will be a transfer student who will be joining our class and learning with us. Hearing this, the students all had different reactions. They were just guessing the surname and appearance of the person. For these students, it was undoubtedly an exciting thing to have a beautiful female classmate or a handsome male classmate in the same class as them. Shirori, who was sitting in the last row, was stunned when she heard the homeroom teacher. Transfer student, don't tell me it's Shido. He's in this class? The homeroom teacher seemed to have expected this reaction, so she didn't say anything else. She turned around and faced the door. Please come in. Outside the door, Wu Yin slapped his cheeks. He decided to stop tormenting himself. It won't be long before the spacequake alarm goes off. Everyone in the school will have to take shelter. He might as well sneak out when that happens. Wu Yin slowly opened the door, and he walked up to the podium under the watchful eyes of the entire class. He looked at the students, and he smiled at Shirori, who had an I knew it expression on her face. He then glanced at Tabichi Origami, who was glaring at him, and he wrote his name on the blackboard. Itsuka Shido. The students were stunned when they saw this name. They all turned to look at Shirori. Shirori felt a bit embarrassed, but it was inevitable. After all, these two names can give people a lot of thoughts. I'm Itsuka Shido. Wu Yan's expression was a little unnatural when he said the name, but he quickly brushed it aside. Nice to meet you all. The students were stunned when they heard Itsuka Shido's simple self-introduction. They looked at each other, and the atmosphere froze. Even the homeroom teacher smiled awkwardly. She didn't know what to say. Chapter 416. Tiangong City, Duralai Zen High School. For the entire morning, the teacher on the podium lectured nonstop with spittle flying all over the place. She didn't even pause in the middle of her lecture, which made one sigh in admiration of her skill. However, Wu Yin didn't even listen to a single word during the entire morning's lesson. It's not that he can't understand. With his perfect memory ability, even if he can't listen to it, he can still remember it. But for him, going to class is a form of torture, and he, as a standard otaku, had already endured this torture for 12 whole years. And this didn't even include the kindergarten. Fortunately, Japan's classes aren't as boring as China's. Classes aren't that long. There are also clubs, and clubs. For some people, it's a pleasure to attend classes here. Wu Yin, on the other hand, spent the whole morning in a daze. Other than Wu Yin, there's another person who didn't pay attention to a single word. That's Tashiichi Origami. On the surface, she's always the top student in the school year. She's an all-rounder in sports and got full marks in looks. She's the best of the best. But today, for the first time in her life, she's doing something that didn't invade her mind. That's because This morning, she placed all of her attention on Wu Yin, who is sitting beside her, like he's worried that Wu Yin might go on a rampage and hurt someone. Being stared at for an entire morning, Wu Yan's heart twitched and his whole body felt weird. It's not that he doesn't like being stared at by pretty girls, it's just that Tabichi Origami stare at him. If there's even the slightest bit of emotion in it, even if it's just killing intent, it's fine. But she just stared at him with an emotionless expression for an entire morning. Who would be able to remain calm under that kind of mechanical gaze? After class, Shirori tidied up her textbooks and her desk before looking at Wu Yin. Shido, let's go to the family dining room. Kotori should be waiting there. Wu Yin was about to nod when Tashiichi Origami suddenly stood up. Wu Yin froze. Tashiichi Origami walked up to Wu Yin and stared at Wu Yan's face. Wu Yan's scalp went numb. He wanted to cry, but no tears came out. Sis, you've been staring at me for the entire morning. Haven't you had enough? I'm not handsome at all. I only gain a little bit after becoming a true ancestor. Do you have to stare at me so hard? Perhaps Tashiichi Origami heard Wu Yan's complaints. She slowly opened her mouth and said expressionlessly to Wu Yin, "Why are you here?" Wu Yin laughed dryly. "Although I could guess that you would definitely ask me this question, why don't you look surprised at all?" On the other side, Shirori scratched her face, hesitated for a moment, and raised her hand. Do you know each other?" Tabichi Origami turned around to look at Shirori. Wu Yin could see Tabichi Origami looking at Shirori with a blank expression. However, he could see the flirtatious look in her blue eyes. Under the gaze of Tabichi Origami, Shirori felt goosebumps. She unconsciously shrank her body and muttered in her heart, "Does this super genius know me? But I don't remember seeing her before." This question is a mystery even in the original work, so of course, no one can give Shirori an answer here. Wu Yin, on the other hand, saw how Tabichi Origami treated the two of them differently. How could he not know that his guess is a fact? His heart felt like it got trampled by thousands of grass mud horses. He's in a state of utter embarrassment. Shirori was a good girl. He didn't expect her to turn into a Yuri girl. Embarrassed, Wu Yin turned his head to look at Shirori. Instantly, a strong sense of worship rose in his heart. At this moment, his admiration for Shirori is like the Yellow River, endless and unending. As a main character of the story, he's still able to flirt with girls, even though he's a girl. That's a level worth worshipping. Wu Yan's admiration for Shirori aside, Shirori is a bit afraid of Tabichi Origami. He quickly said to Tabichi Origami, Tabichi-san, we still have a date to attend to, so. Itsuka Shirori. Tabichi Origami said calmly, interrupting Shiori's speech. You better not get too close to him. It won't do you any good. Shirori hesitated. She weakly said under Tashiichi Origami's threatening gaze. But Shido is my older brother. Tabichi Origami narrowed her eyes. Of course, she wouldn't doubt Shiori's words. However, she would rather die than believe that an elf is Shiori's older brother. Even if Wu Yin doesn't have any elven energy waves on him, she still saw the scene of Wu Yin descending with a spacequake. Tashiichi Origami's first thought was that Wu Yin did something to Shirori. This kind of thing was definitely possible for the elves with their strange abilities. What did you do to Shirori? Wu Yin's mouth twitched. If I said I didn't, would you believe me? Tashiichi Origami didn't say anything. She just stared at Wu Yin. Shirori wanted to say something when she saw the tension between Tabichi Origami and Wu Yin. But an ear-piercing siren blared in midair. It reverberated through the entire Toburai Zen High School and even the entire Tengong City. Warning signs of a spacequake have been detected in this area. Please head to the nearest shelter as soon as possible. This is not a training exercise. This is not a training exercise. This is a real warning. All residents in the area, please head to the nearest shelter as soon as possible. All residents in the area, please head to the nearest shelter as soon as possible. I repeat, warning signs of a spacequake detected in this area. It's here. The space-time alarm went off, and everyone's expression changed. Shirori turned pale with fright, while Wu Yin and Tabichi Origami straightened their faces. Tashiichi Origami glanced at Wu Yin again before walking out of the classroom. Shiori was shocked. She raised her hand and yelled, "Tashiichi Origami, you can't run around like that. You have to go to a shelter." Unfortunately, Tashiichi Origami would listen to anything Shiori says under normal circumstances. However, when it comes to elves, even Shiori can't persuade Tashiichi Origami. Unless Tashiichi Origami's parents who died under the elves' power come back to life, no one can persuade her otherwise. In the original work, the main character, Itsuka Shido, had to use his life to protect Teruchi Origami. Teruchi Origami had a compromise once. From this, it could be seen how much Teruchi Origami hated the elves' Shido. Shiori looked at Wu Yin helplessly as Tabichi Origami walked out of the classroom. Wu Yin said, "Shiori, let's go take shelter." Shiori nodded. There was a hint of worry in her eyes. I wonder if Kotori went to a shelter. Before Wu Yin could stop her, Shiori took out her phone from her pocket. She searched for Kotori's GPS. Shiori gasped in shock. "Kotori? Why is Kotori in front of the cafeteria?" Shiori recalled what Kotori said to her in the morning, and her face paled a little. "Is Kotori really waiting for us there?" "Calm down." Wu Yin patted her shoulder. "Go to a shelter, leave Kotori to me, but don't worry." Chapter 417. On one of the streets of Tiangong City, a figure quickly flashed across the deserted street due to the arrival of the spacequake. His speed was extremely fast. If someone saw him from the side, he would only see an afterimage flashing in front of him. Then, the afterimage would disappear at the corner of the street at the other end. Along the way, wherever the afterimage passed by, the sound of air breaking would be heard. Due to the extreme speed, wherever the afterimage passed by, all the wind that was squeezed away by it would become a sharp wind blade, scraping the ground and leaving a faint scratch mark. That was the performance of extreme speed. As Wu Yin is dashing towards the location of the spacequake, a voice rang in his ear. If one were to look closely, one would notice that Wu Yin has a wireless earpiece plugged into his ear. "Hey, Shido, can you hear me? Is that Kotori?" Wu Yin pressed down on his earpiece to prevent himself from hearing what is going on inside the room due to the high speed of the wind. Kotori felt uncomfortable when she heard Wu Yin call her name. She's not as open-minded as she is when she's in her sister mode. She can't call Wu Yin, for she's only known for a day, big brother without hesitation. It's also uncomfortable to be called by her name by someone she's only known for a day. Of course, Kotori quickly tossed this matter aside. It's not that she doesn't care, it's just that even though she's only known Wu Yin for less than a day, she knows that Wu Yin and she aren't strangers. "Where are you right now?" "I'm heading towards the center of the spacequake." Kotori frowned slightly. "Then what about Shirine-san?" "I told her to take shelter." "I see." Kotori fell silent. Wu Yin didn't know what she was thinking. Kotori fell silent when she heard that Shiori didn't come with them. Wu Yin could guess what's going on. For some reason, Shiori has an ability that allows her to seal the power of fairies into herself by kissing them. This ability is also the ability of the original main character, Itsuka Shido. As Shiori's younger sister, Kotori knew that Shiori had this power. Therefore, to Ratatosker, who wanted to save the elves, Shiori's power was the most important thing they could do to save the elves. In the original work, Kotori worked with her brother to improve the favorability of the elves step by step, thus sealing their power and allowing them to live a normal life. But here, the situation was completely different. In Kotori's heart, she didn't want to drag her doting older sister into this whirlpool that could cost her her life. If Shiori Itsuka was Shido, Kotori would push him to the front lines without hesitation to communicate with the elves. But here, Shido had turned into Shiori Itsuka. Perhaps, in everyone's mind, the boy should be the one to take responsibility. That's why Kotori pushed her older brother to the forefront in the original work. But when the person in question changed from older brother to older sister, as a younger sister, Kotori couldn't help but feel pity for her older brother. But there's no helping it. Shiori's power is very important to Ratatosker. So even if Kotori couldn't bear it, she would still borrow her power. But now it's different. That's because Wu Yin is here. Hey, do you still have the kind of bracelet that can seal power? Wu Yin couldn't help but be stunned. A bracelet that seals one's power? Are you talking about the sealing hoop? It doesn't matter what it's called. Do you still have it? I do have some. If he wants the sealing bracelet, he can get it from the system at any time. Koteri's sudden question baffled him, but he still answered honestly. That's good. Koteri's expression relaxed. She smiled when she saw Wu Yan's current location reflected on the screen. She sucked on the jewel in her hand, and she said in a serious tone, "Listen up, Shurdao. Ratatoskr will assist you from now on. Your mission is to use the sealing ring to seal the power of the descending elf." Huh? What do you mean by huh? Koteri yelled. Answer yes. Yes. Wu Yan sighed and put down his hand from his ear. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Great. I'm going to be the main character of this world. It's a pity that my props, which were about to break through 1,000,000 with great difficulty, are going to shrink again this time. Wu Yin dodged another corner, and he dashed towards the location of the spacequake. His smooth movements and shocking speed made the people in Fraxinus Field dizzy watching him on the big screen. Suddenly, a terrifying space-time wave appeared in front of Wu Yin. The wind around him became heavier. At the same time, a black light flashed in front of him. Beep. Spatial tremors have been detected around the user. Beep. User has entered the effective detection range of Spacequake. Would you like to materialize Spacequake? The system notification rang in Wu Yan's mind. Wu Yan's serious expression turned into joy. He said yes in his mind. Beep. Spacequake materialization has begun. Materializing. Almost at the same time that the system prompt rang out, the space before him trembled and a huge black sphere abruptly swelled up from the street in front of him. Logically speaking, when the spacequake phenomenon occurred, wherever the huge black sphere passed by, everything would be shaken into ruins. However, the spacequake this time was a little different. The black sphere expanded, but everything that it came into contact with, including those that should have been turned into ruins, was actually standing in the black sphere, unscathed, as if nothing had happened. In Fraxinus, all the members of Ratatoskr, including Koteri, were stunned as they looked at the big screen. What's going on? Why didn't the spacequake destroy the environment? QEI Kanazuki stared at the screen in disbelief. Everyone else had the same reaction. Only Koteri frowned. She looked at the black dot on the screen. It's Wu Yin. She didn't say anything. The black sphere floated through the air. The destructive force inside turned into a wave of wind. It blew against the buildings like a gentle breeze. Nothing was damaged. Then, the black sphere trembled as if it was undergoing a thermal expansion and contraction process. The black sphere shrunk to the size of a palm before it flew into the air. It drew an arc in the air as it wobbled towards Wu Yin. Catching the black orb that floated in front of him, Wu Yin got a good look at it. It's a crystal orb that seems to contain a small black hole. The black hole inside is spinning and black light seeped out of the orb. It's a bit of a dark beauty. Beep. Obtained dimensional orb. Holding the space orb, he glanced at his quest tab. The 010 has turned into 110. Wu Yin grinned, and he tossed the space orb into the air. A crimson spatial ripple appeared and sucked the space orb in before it disappeared into thin air. As for Wu Yin, he went to the epicenter of the spacequake. There, he saw a purple figure. Chapter 4:18. Her long purple hair is tied up by a pair of purple crystal hair ornaments that look like butterflies. Her purple hair flutters down her back like a splash of water. It's a stunning sight to behold. She was wearing armor that looked like a ceremonial dress. Her skirt was made of pink silk. There was a pink feather on her chest, neck, and between her ribs. Not only did it give her a heroic spirit, it also gave her a beautiful appearance. A golden throne stood beside her. Below the throne was a bottomless black hole. One could tell that the throne floated up from the black hole. Its owner was standing on top of the throne. At the top of the throne, there was a thorn-shaped giant sword. Specks of purple light wandered around his body. A pair of inconceivable purple crystal eyes were flashing with a unique light, as if he was trying to understand this world. Princess, level 78. Wu Yin is speechless at the sight of the beautiful girl. Wu Yin has seen his fair share of beautiful girls in his life. Chuju, Mikoto, Ikaros, Shokoho Misaki, Estrella, Flandrachan, Kanuhita Sai, Frenda, Takitsurikululu, Feifei, all of them are cute and beautiful. None of them are inferior to the girl in front of him in terms of looks. But at this moment, it's as if she's the only one left in this world. Her beauty is so extreme that even Wu Yin couldn't help but admire her beauty. Night Sword God, Toka, the elf with the codename Princess. She's the first female lead of the original novel and the first elf to appear. Of course, Night Sword God Toka doesn't have a name yet. In the original novel, the name Toka was given by its Tsukashido. The surname Night Sword God Toka was given later on. The current Night Sword God Toka doesn't have a name yet. She only has the codename Princess. Night Sword God Toka finally noticed Wu Yin. Wu Yan's figure is reflected in her purple crystal eyes. Her eyes are filled with hostility. It's this hostility that woke Wu Yin up from the beautiful scene of Night Sword God Toka's arrival. At the same time, Night Sword God Toka made her first move. Night Sword God Toka leaped to the top of the throne. She pulled out the sharp great sword from the throne and swung it. A purple sword wave pierced through the ground and headed for Wu Yin. Toka's sudden attack startled Wu Yin. He waved his hand, and a samurai sword radiating an aura of vicissitudes of life emerged from the crimson spatial ripples. Wu Yin grasped the sword in his hand. Nyeton no Shana. When Wu Yin gripped Nyotono no Shana, the red lotus fire ignited on the blade. The dense red flames howled in the air, causing the surrounding air to heat up. Wu Yin did the same thing as Toka. He swung his sword with all his might. In an instant, a wave of fire gushed out from the nether temple Shana and ignited the ground to meet the violet sword wave. The two forces collided. Bang! The collision between the sword wave and the fire wave completely destroyed the surrounding ground. The buildings and the ground that were originally intact because of the spacequake could not escape the fate of destruction under this collision and turned into ruins. Night Sword God Toka was stunned. She tilted her head in confusion. In her limited memory, there was no memory of a human who could use an angel. Could it be that the opponent was also an elf? The so-called angel was actually a weapon used by elves. For example, the great sword in Night Sword God Toka's hand and the golden throne were her angels. Elves can summon their angels by using their own power. Clearly, when Wu Yin pulled out Nyeton no Shana from the gate of Babylon, Night Sword God Toka thought it was an elf using an angel. With that thought in mind, Yamatagami Toka didn't let go of his hostility towards Wu Yin. Instead, the hostility in his eyes intensified. He even looked a bit sad. Not just humans, even elves want to kill me? Night Sword God Toka raised her great sword and leaped into the air. Her body flashed in the air, and she rushed towards Wu Yin at an incredible speed. Wu Yan's wine-red pupils shrunk and turned gold in an instant. His heart was heavy as he looked at Night Sword God Toka rushing towards him. The feedback from the system is clear. Night Sword God Toka is a level 78 being. Coupled with the power of an angel, Night Sword God Toka is comparable to Ikaros. Wu Yin, on the other hand, is only comparable to a beginner tier 8 being around level 70. Ikaros and Night Sword God Toka, who are extremely close to tier 9, there is no way he can compare to them. A moment of carelessness and defeat would not be surprising. However, when Night Sword God Toka arrived in front of him and pointed her great sword at him, Wu Yan's instinctive warning from the sudden attack subsided almost instantly. Are you here to kill me too? When he said this, Nightblade God 10 Fragrance's face was filled with sorrow. His pair of amethyst-like eyes flashed with a heart-wrenching expression. He was clearly so helpless. Wu Yin fell into a daze when he saw this face, a faint silhouette that only Wu Yin can see appeared in his line of sight. She's much smaller than Night Sword God Toka with brown shoulder-length hair and a pair of brown eyes. It's Mikoto herself. Mikoto appeared in Wu Yan's line of sight. Her face and eyes are also filled with sadness and helplessness. Then, she slowly merged with Toka, who is pointing her greatsword at Wu Yin. Her face slowly overlapped with Toka's. At this moment, the two of them have the same expression. Wu Yin remembers the expression on Mikoto's face when she found out about her sisters for the first time. The flames on Yedan Shana that was raised high in front of his chest in a defensive posture disappeared in an instant, revealing a silver blade. Then, Wu Yin lowered his hand. Night Sword God, Toka was stunned again. Seeing Wu Yin suddenly drop his defense, she was confused. Under Night Sword God, Toka's confused gaze, Wu Yin sighed and slowly reached out his hand towards her face. Night Sword God, Toka's eyes became alert. She pushed her greatsword forward and pressed it against Wu Yin's chest. But Wu Yin acted as if he didn't see or feel anything. He still reached his hand towards her face. Because he leaned forward, a wound appeared on his chest. Night Sword God Toka didn't know what to do. She reflexively pulled back her greatsword. She didn't have time to dodge Wu Yan's hand. Wu Yan's hand caressed her face. Night Sword God Toka was stunned. She felt the hand caressing her face. She couldn't react at all. Really? Wu Yan shook his head with a smile. He gently caressed Night Sword God Toka's face and said softly, "How can you show such a dirty expression? Don't you know that this expression makes people feel sorry for you?" Night Sword God Toka was stunned speechless. The naive Night Sword God Toka didn't know how to react at this time. She only knew that the person in front of her suddenly became very gentle. That hand was also very warm. It warmed her heart. Chapter 419. In the command room of Fraxinus, everyone stared blankly at Wu Yin, who was caressing the princess' cheeks. They were all stupefied by what they saw on the screen. What kind of power is this? Qei Kanazuki's jaw dropped as he stared at Wu Yin, who was caressing a fairy on their first meeting. His submissive heart is trembling. He didn't even need anyone's help. He raised princess favorability by more than 50%. Could it be that vampires don't just suck blood, they can also attract other fairies? The members looked at each other in dismay. They looked at the big screen and saw that the princess favorability bar was already half full. They were all speechless. "You're quite capable." Kotori bit the pearl in her hand and smiled delightfully. Kotori felt like a god had come to Ratatoskr this time. The god of strategy. It's not just Kotori. Everyone has the same thought. These self-proclaimed love experts are looking at Wu Yin with respect and admiration. This was a true expert in seducing girls. Little did they know, Wu Yin is just following his heart. He's just following his heart. He's not using any sort of strategy. Perhaps only this kind of heartfelt feeling could make a pure and kind-hearted elf like Nightblade, God 10 Fragrance, subconsciously feel warmth. "Commander!" Just when everyone is admiring Wu Yin, one of the members suddenly yelled out with a serious expression. "What's wrong?" Kotori asked calmly. It's not that she doesn't care about the situation, but she can guess why that member is so serious. AST is on the move. In 1 minute, we will arrive at the scene where Princess is. They're as fast as ever. Kotori is disappointed. With Wu Yan's godlike speed, if AST is any slower, Princess favorability bar might be full by now. Kotori overestimated Wu Yin. That kind of heartfelt feeling will only work once. At the very least, Wu Yin won't be able to raise the other half of her favorability in such a short amount of time. "Shido, did you hear me?" Kotori's voice woke Wu Yin up from his pity for Mikoto and Toka. His golden eyes turned back to wine red. Wu Yin doesn't want to fight anymore. However, Kotori's next words made Wu Yin realize that he made his decision too quickly. "Shido, AST will appear in front of you very soon. It should be coming for Princess." Wu Yin furrowed his brows, feeling a bit dissatisfied. This AST may be made up of some pretty good girls, but the higher-ups of AST aren't any good people. If he doesn't think of a way to deal with this, he's going to get harassed by them in the near future. Wu Yin isn't afraid. He's not a fairy, so he doesn't have a fairy reaction. AST can't do anything to him. However, Toka isn't the same. She hasn't sealed her powers yet. Unless she leaves this world, AST will hunt her down. Because of this, the night blade god Ten Incense showed such a sad expression. Wu Yin sighed and looked at the silent Toka. Hey, do you want to come with me? Toka flinched. She said blankly, Come with me. Okay, where are we going? Wu Yin chuckled, and he put down his hand that was licking Toka's cheek. He held her hand instead. Where you can stay. Where I can stay. Toka's expression changed. Ever since she got her memories, every time she came to this world, she was hunted down by the natives of this world. She's been hunted down by the natives of this world. She's been hunted down by the natives of this world. She's been hunted down by the natives of this world. She's been hunted down by the natives of this world. What the Nightblade God 10 Fragrances could do was to fight back and run away while being chased by humans. Because she was kind, she did not want to harm lives. In the original work, the Night Sword God Toka once said that if Shido Itsuka hadn't saved her, then perhaps one day she wouldn't have been able to hold it in anymore and would have swung her sword at the humans who were chasing after her. Then, from then on, she would have become a greedy elf who viewed life as ants. That's not a random statement. There's an elf who can be used as an example. In this life of fighting and running away, Toka has almost lost all hope. But now, there was someone who was telling him that there was a place for him to stay here. Those 4 words were like a bolt from the blue in Toka's ears. Wu Yin felt even more pity for Toka when he saw her like this. Who would have thought that under that sorrowful expression, Toka is just a simple, naive, and kind girl. She's obsessed with food and curious about the human world. She would reveal the most foolish and naive smile. She would be affected by a joke made by others. When she was hungry, she would look at others pitifully. When she was in a good mood, she would jump up and down. When she was in a bad mood, she would cry and scream. Nightblade God 10 Fragrances was such a cute sprite. Wu Yin finally understood why the main character, Itsuka Shido, knew how dangerous the front line is and how he could lose his life at any moment. Yet, he still charged in without a care in the world. Because after seeing them in such a state, how could he still turn a blind eye when he knew what was going on? I can't bear it. Wu Yin smiled gently at Toka. Do you want to come? Toka looked at Wu Yin with her crystal-like eyes. Her heart became more active than ever. She glanced at her hand and nodded. Wu Yin smiled. Well done. In the command room, Kotori looked at Princess, who left with Wu Yin. Toka's favorability bar increased a lot. She couldn't help but praise Wu Yin. Kotori thought it would take a lot of effort to influence Princess's decision. She even asked the members of Ratatoskr to help Wu Yin conquer Princess. She didn't expect that less than 15 minutes had passed since Princess arrived. The conversation between Wu Yin and Princess was only a few short sentences. However, the effect was surprisingly good. Sure enough, it was right to pull him into Ratatoskr. This way, Shiorine-san won't have to get involved in this mess. Toka stared at her hand, holding Wu Yin's. She couldn't help but want to talk to this person who made her feel warm. Wu Yin turned around and smiled. You can call me Wu. Shido. Shido. Toka tilted her head. Wu Yin slapped his forehead. Shido. That's my name in this world. Name? Yes, name. Then Toka. Your name? My name. At this moment, Ten Incense finally revealed a smile. My name, Toka. Chapter 420. Shido, where's this place? Toka looked at the building before turning to Wu Yin. She asked Wu Yin in a confused manner. Is this the building Shido was talking about? The place where she can stay? This is my home. Shidao's home. 10 Fragrances' purple eyes brightened. She said excitedly, Then, does Shidao live here? Since it's my home, of course I live here. Wu Yin shook his head. Of course, this will be your home in the future, my home. Toka laughed happily. She pulled Wu Yin, and they ran towards Itsuka's home. Let's go in then. Seeing this, Wu Yin helplessly allowed himself to be dragged into the house. However, looking at Toka, who was pulling him towards the door with a smile on her face, Yin couldn't help but smile back. Toka is no longer wearing her armor. Instead, she's wearing casual clothes. She's holding Yan's hand, and she's wearing a red bracelet. Yan's white bracelet now has another white bracelet on his wrist. On the way back to Itsuka's house, Yin exchanged for the sealing bracelet. He explained the effects of the sealing bracelet to Toka and asked her to put it on. Everyone on Fraxinus saw this. Many of them cursed out loud. Even Kotori scolded Yin over the radio. They all thought Yan's actions were stupid. Her favorability towards him wasn't full yet he made such a request. Did he think elves were easy to negotiate with, who would seal their own power for no reason? However, just as the members of Ratatoskr were waiting for 10 Fragrance's favorability to drop, they were once again dumbfounded by what they saw. Toka put on the bracelet without hesitation. This was to be expected. Compared to her elven power, Toka cared more about her so-called shelter. The naive Toka didn't care about her elven power as much as others thought. Right now, 10 Fragrance's heart was filled with hope. She hoped that this person who brought her warmth would be able to save her from her life of being constantly hunted down and fighting. That's why when Yin suggested using the sealing bracelet to seal her elven power to avoid being hunted down, Toka immediately agreed. Seeing how the princess was taken care of just like that, the bunch of Ratatoskr's followers couldn't help but go crazy. In the end, they never thought it would end up like this. How could the love experts who were eager to show off their skills not go berserk? This was a mistake they made. They thought that only when their favorability towards Toka was high enough would they be able to make rude requests to achieve their goals. Of course, Toka's favorability towards Yin was also quite high. Sure Dao, 10 Incense, tried to push the door in front of him, trying to defeat the door that was preventing him from entering the house. However, 10 Incense had sealed his power. How could he open a locked door with brute force? She looked at Yin with tears in her eyes. This door won't let me in. Yin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He stepped forward. The door is locked. Of course you can't get in. You have to press the doorbell or knock on the door. Doorbell. Toka rubbed her chin as if she's trying to figure out what a doorbell is. Yin raised an eyebrow when he saw this. Sure Dao. The door opened from the inside. Shirori poked her head out and saw Yin. She was overjoyed. She rushed to Yin and looked around. She asked with a pale face, Sure Dao, where's Kotori? Didn't you find her? Calm down, Shirori. Yin pressed his hands together to calm her down. Don't worry, Kotori is fine. Where's she? Where's she? Itsuka Shirori said worriedly. Toka grabbed Yin's arm and looked at Shirori. She frowned and asked, Sure Dao, who is she? Sure Dao. Toka's voice also attracted Shiori's attention. She was startled and asked the same question as Toka. Sure Dao, who is she? Sure Dao, Mama. Let's go in and introduce ourselves. Yin shrugged, and he pulled Toka along. Just as he was about to enter, a sweet voice attracted everyone's attention. Oni-san, Oni-san, I'm back. Kotori, wearing a white ribbon on her head, bounced back from a distance. She waved at them as she walked, as if she had just returned from a trip. She looked very relaxed. Kotori, Shirori exclaimed in surprise. She quickly pulled Kotori over and inspected her from head to toe. She wanted to see if Kotori was missing anything. Kotori, are you okay? Are you hurt anywhere? No, I'm fine, Oni-san. Kotori stuck out her tongue, and she glanced at Toka. Then, she gave Yin a thumbs up. Yin knew what this meant. Shirori didn't see what Kotori was doing, but her face was stern, and she said sternly, Kotori, what did you run off to? Do you know how worried I was about you? I'm sorry, Oni-san. Kotori lowered her head. I was hiding in a shelter. I was tired and fell asleep. That's why I came back so late. You went to shelter? Shirori frowned. But when I searched for your GPS, your location was at that family restaurant. About that, Kotori looked up and said embarrassedly, I was a little scared when I heard the spacequake alarm. I lost my phone. Hearing this, Shirori let out a sigh of relief. If that's the case, then I can't blame you. Fortunately, you want to take refuge. Really, you made me worried to death. Kotori giggled and ran to Shiori's side. She pulled her hand and shook it. Shiori was annoyed and could only helplessly pout. Award-winning actor. Ah, no. Award-winning actress Wu Yin praised Kotori, who got full marks for her performance. He didn't expect Kotori to have this kind of talent when she's in her younger sister mode. On the other hand, Toka pouted. She turned around and she asked Wu Yin, "Hey Shido, who the hell are they? Why did they come out of nowhere?" Shiori and Kotori looked at each other before looking at Toka. Shiori was the first to be surprised. She was too worried about Kotori's safety, so she didn't pay much attention to Toka. It was only now that Shiori realized the girl in front of her was so beautiful. What a beautiful girl! Shiori couldn't help but exclaim. Kotori smiled. Right. You think so too? This beautiful girl is Oni Ai-chan's girlfriend. What? Wu Yin and Shiori exclaimed at the same time. Shiori heard Wu Yin's exclamation and looked at Wu Yin strangely. She wondered why Wu Yin exclaimed. Kotori innocently hugged Shiori's hand. Oni Ai-chan's girlfriend is going to live in our house. Shiori's expression turned even weirder. Wu Yin laughed dryly and didn't know what to say. Toka asked curiously, "Hey Shido, what's a girlfriend? What else can Wu Yin do other than smile?" Chapter 421. Heavenly Palace City, Itsuka's house. Sitting on the sofa, Wu Yin looked at Toka, who was running around the house. Then, he looked at Shiori, who was going upstairs to clean up a room for Toka. Wu Yin pursed his lips. Then, he looked at Kotori, who was chewing on a jewel. Kotori, what will Ratatoskr do about Toka? Kotori flipped her ponytails, and she replied in a nonchalant tone. Well, since Toka's power is sealed, Ratatoskr decided to allow Toka to stay in our house for the time being. We will supervise and observe Toka while she's at it. Wu Yin looked at Kotori suspiciously. She's more interested in the jewel than the Toka incident. Just observe? Don't tell me that Ratatoskr doesn't want to examine tin fragrance in detail, to study the mysteries of the elves' power, the elves' body structure, or analyze the weapons to deal with elves? Kotori looked at Wu Yin in shock. Her red eyes scanned Wu Yin from head to toe. Kotori shrunk back and said in fear, "Big brother, are you planning to dissect elves? What are you thinking?" Wu Yin was speechless. "I'm just curious. Don't you think Ratatoskr would want to study the elves? After all, they might be able to find out more about Spacequake and elves." I see. Kotori released a sigh of relief. She put on a smile again. Wu Yin's eyelids twitched. This brat, she's not thinking that I'm going to dissect her, is she? Actually, in the beginning, there were people who wanted to capture an elf alive and conduct research on it. But such a method went against the main purpose of Ratatoskr, so such a proposal was rejected. Wu Yin scratched his face. He didn't think much of it. An organization like this is bound to have a dark side. Ratatoskr's goal is good, but there's no guarantee that no one in the organization is plotting against the elves. In the face of ambition, the mission is nothing but something that can be changed at any time. However, Ratatoskr doesn't have such a thing. Wu Yin doesn't care about that. He just wants Toka to be treated like a tool. Shido, what is this? Juxiang's voice made the man and woman sitting on the sofa turn their heads to look. The scene they saw when they turned their heads immediately scared them out of their wits. He didn't know when Toa had run into the kitchen. She was holding a bottle of something in her hand. She looked left and right. Then she opened the bottle cap and slowly poured it in her mouth. Wu Yin and Kotori can clearly see the words detergent written on the bottle. Toka, you can't drink that. Wu Yin yelled when he saw the liquid going into Toka's mouth. He jumped up from the sofa and landed on Toka. Kotori jumped up from the sofa as she screamed at the top of her lungs. In the nick of time, Wu Yin grabbed Toka's hand before the liquid entered her mouth. He swung her hand, and the detergent flew in a beautiful arc in the air and splashed all over the screaming Kotori. Kotori froze. Her red eyes stared at the detergent on her body. She confirmed that she was splashed before pursing her lips. 2 small teardrops hung from the corner of her eyes. She looked at Wu Yin and Toka with a bitter expression. Aha! Wu Yin laughed dryly, and he averted his gaze. I didn't mean to. Shido, why didn't you let me eat it? Toka didn't realize what's going on, so she's not happy that Wu Yin stopped her from tasting the detergent. Idiot! Wu Yin glared at Toka. Not everything can be eaten. Can it be eaten? Toka lowered her head regretfully. Wu Yin rubbed his forehead helplessly. Wu Yin looked around the kitchen and went to the fridge. He checked the ingredients and said to Toka, "You're hungry, right?" "Wait a minute. Shido, what are you doing?" Tin Fragrance asked curiously. 410 Fragrance, who had just begun to properly understand this world. Everything that others did was worth investigating. Coterie, who was cleaning herself, was surprised to see Wu Yin rummaging through the fridge. She hesitated for a bit before she guessed. "Shido, are you trying to cook?" "Cook." Toka's eyes widened. "Are the dishes edible?" Wu Yin ignored Toka and glanced at Coterie, who was in disbelief. "Do you need to be so surprised when I cook?" But Coterie lowered her head and didn't say anything. She wanted to ask, isn't it enough for a vampire to eat the food dangling in front of them? And he knows how to cook? Coterie forgot that she had breakfast with Wu Yin this morning. When Coterie raised her head, she was startled to see a pair of wine-red eyes staring straight at her. "Although I don't know what you're thinking, why do I have an inexplicable feeling of displeasure?" Wu Yin narrowed his eyes and said meaningfully. Coterie smiled embarrassedly and said, "I'm going to change." Then she ran away. Sighing, Wu Yin ignored her and grabbed the kitchen knife beside him. He took out the ingredients from the fridge and handled them in a relaxed and smooth manner. He washed them with clean water before putting them into the pot one by one. Not long after, a special fragrance began to permeate the air above Wu He's house. The fragrance was very rich and had an extraordinary fragrance. The rich fragrance floated above the kitchen and the living room. Waves of unique smoke began to spread. It was exceptionally alluring. Toka stayed by Wu Yan's side. She watched as Wu Yan turned the ingredients in the fridge into delicious dishes. Her saliva started dripping out of her mouth. Her little nose twitched fiercely, inhaling all the fragrance into her stomach. A strong sense of hunger suddenly surged in her brain, causing her to subconsciously ask, "Sure, Dao, can you give it to me? Wait a little longer, it's almost done." Wu Yin skillfully turned the pot and said without looking back. Toka could only look at the food in the pot with tears in her eyes. "It smells so good." A clear voice came from the other side. Coterie came out of a door and looked at the kitchen. She cried out in surprise, "It smells so good. It looks delicious." Toka tensed up and she stood in front of Wu Yan. She yelled at him, "No way. I haven't eaten yet." "Okay, wait at the table. There's food." It didn't take long for the table to be filled with dishes. Coterie, Toka, and Shirori, who were sitting at the table, couldn't help but exclaim at the same time. It was as if they could see stars shining above the dishes, making them exclaim at the same time. However, in the next second, these exclamations turned into the sound of saliva being swallowed. Shido, Toka sucked in a mouthful of saliva. She, Coterie, and Shirori looked at Wu Yan. Wu Yan couldn't help but laugh. "What are you waiting for? Eat." As soon as he finished speaking, 3 pairs of chopsticks began to fly across the dining table at an astonishing speed. After the first bite, the chopsticks moved even faster, leaving behind afterimages. The dishes on the table were reduced at a speed visible to the naked eye. Chapter 422. Ugh, I'm so full. Toka, Coterie, and Shirori sprawled on the messy dining table. They looked satisfied, pained, and satisfied. They didn't expect Wu Yan's cooking to be this good. This was especially true for 10 Fragrances. She had never eaten food from the human world before, yet she was able to eat food of this level. It was like heaven. Of course, the main reason was that 10 Fragrances was a foodie. Looking at them like this, Wu Yan couldn't help but shake his head. He silently cursed himself for having no future ahead of him. After all, the dish just now was something he made in a hurry. Is that enough to satisfy him? If I were to bring out my true strength, wouldn't you all be willing to give your bodies to me? Oni-chan, why didn't you tell me that you're so good at cooking? Coterie turned around and said to Wu Yan, "If I knew Oni-chan was so good at cooking, I wouldn't have wanted to eat the super deluxe children's meal. Ian didn't say anything in response to Kotori's words, but Shirori was the first to express her dissatisfaction. Is your sister's cooking really that bad? No, R.A. Kotori turned to Shirori, trying to please her. Oni-chan's cooking is too good, so Kotori thinks it's a pity. That's true. Shirori nodded and smiled. Shido, why don't you take care of our 3 meals? Toka and Kotori's eyes lit up at the same time. They quickly nodded their heads to show their support for Shirori. Wuyan didn't know if he should laugh or cry at this. I say, there are so many girls in the house. How can you let a guy take care of the cooking? What does it matter? Kotori put her hands together and said coquettishly, Please, Oni-chan. If I don't get to eat Oni-chan's cooking, I will die of regret. Uh-huh. Toka raised her hands and stared at Wu Yin with her big, beautiful eyes. Wu Yin felt a bit embarrassed by her stare. Shido, I'm counting on you. Toka and Kotori's sweet voice made Wu Yin shiver. He felt refreshed and goosebumps. He said helplessly, I can take care of lunch and afternoon. I can also make supper at night. But don't expect me to cook in the morning. I can't get enough sleep. Seriously, how can a boy be so lazy? Shirori scolded. Wu Yin replied calmly. Please call us surname. That means we can eat Shido's cooking in the afternoon, and evening. Tin Fragrance was laughing so hard that her eyes couldn't be seen. She wanted to jump up and cheer, but her stomach was too full. She immediately fell down with a pained expression. Aha! Kotori and Shirori giggled. Wu Yin rolled his eyes at them. They didn't know what's going on. What they didn't know is that Wu Yin spent a lot of time feeding Toka until she's full. In the end, he almost couldn't keep up with Toka's eating speed. If Toka didn't slow down towards the end, Wu Yin probably wouldn't have been able to finish his meal. Okay, since Shido is the one who made the dinner, let me clean up the bowls. Shirori smiled and said, You 3, hurry up and get ready to shower. Kotori rolled her eyes, and she looked at Wu Yin. Oni-chan, you've been in the kitchen for so long. You must have a lot of oil on you. Go take a bath. Wu Yin subconsciously wanted to nod, but a bad premonition crept into his mind, causing him to freeze in the middle of nodding. Wu Yin recalled that in the original work, in order to train the main character's ability to deal with other fairies, the smiling sister in front of him didn't hold back on torturing her brother. For example, when Toka was taking a bath, she tricked him into coming in. Or, when Toka was in the toilet, she asked him to change the light bulbs. Or, she tricked him into taking a bath and then told Toka that there was no one inside. Strictly speaking, all of those things are benefits. However, the word perverted is always a knife. Perverted perverts come with perverts. Even if Toka's fairy power is sealed, once a girl gets shy, the power she can unleash is enough to break through the sky. Wu Yin didn't want to trade his immortality as a true ancestor for 2 slaps in the face. Kotori, go take a bath first. Wu Yin turned his head and smiled innocently. I'll go take a bath after you're done. Kotori shook her head without hesitation. You're the big brother. Of course you go first. But didn't you just get splashed with detergent? Wu Yin said casually. Detergent is very sticky. Don't you feel uncomfortable when it gets on your body? Kotori suddenly felt sticky after hearing Wu Yan's words. Her face lit up. Wu Yin struck while the iron was hot. I heard that if detergent gets on your hair and you don't wash it immediately, it will get knots the next day. Kotori couldn't sit still anymore. It's fine if she takes a bath first. She can still have Toka attack Wu Yin when she comes out. Then I'll go take a bath first. Kotori sprinted towards the bathroom. It seems like Kotori cared about Wu Yan's words. Every girl cares about their image. Kotori is no exception. Even if she's in commander mode, she's in little sister mode. Kotori, who ran towards the bathroom, didn't notice Wu Yan's sinister grin, as if he got what he wanted. In the bathroom, Kotori took off all her clothes and dived into the water. She breathed out contentedly. At this time, Kotori still had a white ribbon on her head. For some reason, Kotori always has a ribbon on her head. Wu Yin was curious. After all, Kotori with a black ribbon is in commander mode. She with a white ribbon is in little sister mode. If she doesn't have a ribbon, which mode is she in? It's still a mystery. Kotori stretched her petite but voluptuous body. She stared at the ceiling with her red eyes. After a while, she touched the red sealing bracelet on her wrist. No one knows what she's thinking. Coterie is the only one who knows about the origin of the sealing bracelet. Even Wu Yin, who has the right to exchange for the sealing bracelet, didn't know the origin of the sealing bracelet. Wu Yin tried asking Coterie about it, but every time, Coterie would just give him a perfunctory answer. When she was pushed too far, she would switch to the black ribbon and switch to commander mode. She would give Wu Yin a good scolding. In the end, Wu Yin would come in full force only to leave with his tail between his legs. However, there's one thing for sure. Coterie must have seen Wu Yin before this. Otherwise, Coterie wouldn't have acted so agitatedly in Fraxina's command room. She wouldn't have treated Wu Yin like a stranger. She wouldn't have treated him like a stranger. She wouldn't have let her guard down. She wouldn't have become so relaxed and familiar with him. However, Wu Yin has never seen Coterie before that day. That's why this whole thing is a bit inconceivable. Wu Yin ignored such an inconceivable matter. Transmigration is an unbelievable thing anyway. No matter how unbelievable it is, what's so strange about it? Perhaps there's something else going on here. Since he's sure Coterie has seen him before, he'll just let it develop. He'll know the answer in the end. Of course, Wu Yin already has a vague answer in his mind. Chapter 423. After an unknown amount of time, Coterie finally got out of the bathtub willingly. She shook off the water droplets on her head, and her two ponytails swayed in the air. They looked like two rays of red light in the bright bathroom. Coterie pushed open a bathroom door and was about to go outside to put on her clothes. However, as soon as she pushed the door open, the scene that appeared before her caused her face to stiffen. She was dumbfounded. Coterie, you took a long time to take a bath. On the other side of the door, less than 20 centimeters in front of Coterie, stood a figure much taller than her. He leaned against the wall and greeted Coterie as if nothing had happened. Wu Yin scanned Coterie from top to bottom with his wine-red eyes. Wu Yin scanned Coterie's body from top to bottom with a panoramic view. His eyes roamed around Coterie's body before stopping at Coterie's chest. "Oh, Coterie, I didn't expect you to have such a great body at 14 years old," Wu Yin praised. He clicked his tongue in wonder, as if he was appraising a rare treasure. However, anyone who knew about this scene would scold Wu Yin for being shameless. He came here to peep and commented so confidently. What else could he be if not shameless? Wu Yin's infuriating actions brought Coterie back to her senses. Coterie looked at Wu Yin, who kept looking at her body. She blushed from her neck all the way up to her face. Then, her head exploded into a puff of white smoke. Bro. Coterie's mouth trembled like a broken machine. Her red face swayed back and forth against the smoke above her head. Her pupils turned into two circles, and her head swayed up and down. She looked like she was about to faint. After a long time, Coterie finally opened her mouth under Wu Yin's intense gaze. She's going to scream in the house. Wu Yin had expected this. He looked at Coterie, whose mouth is slowly opening wide. Wu Yin continued with a calm and collected look on his face. Sure, Ori is still at home. What he meant was, now that you're screaming, our sibling relationship will be suspected. After all, no brother would peek at his sister when she's bathing, except for certain perverts. Coterie swallowed back her scream. She almost choked to death. She looked at Wu Yin with tears in her eyes. Then, she dove back into the bathtub at the speed of light and buried herself in the bathtub. Bro, how could you? Coterie looked at Wu Yin with shame and anger. She couldn't believe that Wu Yin would peek at her while she was bathing. Wu Yin didn't look ashamed at all. Instead, he walked towards Coterie. Coterie couldn't help but gasp. Bro, don't come over. What's wrong with that? Wu Yin grinned. You don't know which brat will take advantage of you in the future. You might as well take advantage of me. Wu Yin glanced at Coterie's body, and he praised her. Coterie's body isn't as good as most people's. In fact, it's not as good as most people's. But no matter what, Coterie is only 14 years old. At this age, Her figure is much better than the 14-year-old Mikoto and the 16-year-old Hanajuku. One has to say, Kotori's future is very promising. Take advantage of you. Bro. Kotori almost fainted from embarrassment. What are you talking about? Wu Yan's shameless words made it harder for Kotori to breathe. She looked around as if she was looking for something. Are you looking for this? Wu Yan looked at Kotori with a knowing expression. He extended his hand, revealing a pair of black ribbons. Kotori was stunned. Wu Yan looked at the ribbons proudly. I knew you'd use this trick. Do you think I'll fall for it a second time after I've been tricked once? How can this be? Kotori wanted to cry, but no tears came out. She was in a dilemma. With her tiny brain, she didn't know what to do without the support of Commander Mode. She didn't know what to do. She didn't know what to do. Why not? Wu Yan snorted and pursed his lips. Do you think I don't know you want Toka to barge in my bath? Kotori was taken aback. How did you know that? She asked subconsciously. Kotori realized she let the cat out of the bag. She glanced at Wu Yan's half-smile and wanted to bury her head in the water. Kotori sobbed and begged for mercy with tears in her eyes. Sob, sob. Kotori knows she's wrong. Brother, please forgive me. You know you're wrong. Wu Yan glared at Kotori. I'm afraid you'll continue to frame me like this. Kotori said timidly, but it's for brother's sake. There are a lot of elves waiting for you to save. If you don't train yourself. Wu Yan rolled his eyes at Kotori. With my performance today, do you think I need to go through this kind of training? Kotori then remembered that this big brother in front of her was the person who increased Toka's favorability by 50% in just a short time. Thinking of this, Kotori lowered her head dejectedly and muttered softly, At most, I won't do this again. Kotori looked at Wu Yan, and she blushed. Oni-chan, can you leave us alone for a moment? Wu Yan grinned, and he told Kotori, You want to go out? I haven't settled the score with you yet. Kotori was about to cry when she heard Wu Yan's words. You've seen my naked body. Isn't that enough? Of course not. Of course it's not. Wu Yan straightened his back. Then, Wu Yan said something that made Kotori break down. Unless you say Kotori wants to marry brother, I'll leave. How about that? Wah! Kotori stared at the shameless wolf in front of her. Even though she's in sister mode, Kotori still wanted to give Wu Yan a good scolding. Brother, you're taking advantage of me. Wu Yan tilted his head nonchalantly. Victory was in his grasp. You don't have to say it. Kotori bit her lips and began to struggle internally. In the end, her shame won out. Kotori murmured in a voice that was louder than even a mosquito's buzzing. Kotori, Kotori, louder. Wu Yan guffawed. Kotori was so embarrassed that she decided to throw caution to the wind. Kotori, I want to marry brother. That's more like it. Wu Yan shrugged. He let Kotori go. He waved goodbye to Kotori as he walked out the door. Remember what you said today. Kotori isn't someone who goes back on her words, right? Kotori pursed her lips when she saw Wu Yan walk out of the bathroom. She wanted to cry, but no tears came out. Brother, you're a bad guy. After Wu Yan left the bathroom, Kotori carefully got out of the bathtub. She picked up the black ribbon and she put it on her head. That scum. In her commander mode, Kotori was covered in black smoke. She put on her clothes and walked towards Wu Yan's room. Wu Yan made a fatal mistake by leaving Kotori's ribbon behind. Chapter 424. Heavenly Palace City, Itsuka's house. From the outside, Itsuka's house looks no different from an ordinary building. At night, the faint light from the windows illuminates the walls of the house, making it seem so peaceful. However, this tranquility was quickly interrupted by a muffled sound. Boom! Following this almost imperceptible muffled sound, a soft scream was emitted from one of the windows, accompanied by the sound of something heavily falling to the ground. In one of the rooms, Wu Yan covered one of his eyes as he laid on the floor. The pain from his eye socket isn't that great, but it made Wu Yan's tears flow down in an instant. He bounced up from the floor and looked at Kotori, who was standing in front of him with her head lowered and black smoke coming out her body. Wu Yan's body involuntarily moved back. He's filled with regret. As the saying goes, a wise man is bound to make a mistake. I shouldn't have been so complacent that I thought I had coterie in my grasp that I forgot about what might happen next. Why didn't I think that coterie would come after me? At the crucial moment, he made a mistake and left the ribbon behind. If he knew this would happen, he would have taken it with him. Coterie, coterie, have mercy. He placed one hand in front of his body as if he can't get close to coterie. The other hand rubbed his eye. Wu Yin has no doubt that if it weren't for True Ancestor's amazing recovery ability, coterie's punch would have given him a black eye. Ah, have mercy. Coterie laughed mockingly. She stepped forward and looked down at Wu Yin. The dangerous glint in her eyes made Wu Yin tremble and his body take a step back. Her face is still a little red. People who don't know her would think of Pian Pian. Coterie glared at Wu Yin with her red eyes and said gloomily, "Why didn't you show mercy? How dare you do such a thing? Death penalty. You will be sentenced to death." Coterie raised her fist again. Wu Yin quickly shouted, "Coterie, you can't murder your husband." Husband? Coterie's body trembled, her gloomy and flushed face contorted. If she wasn't afraid of attracting Shiori's attention, she would have gone berserk. How dare you mention it? Coterie's hateful voice seemed to come from the depths of hell. Wu Yin shrunk his neck, but he quickly argued, "You said it yourself. What? Is our Commander-sama going back on her word?" The shameless debate caused Coterie to lower her head. Her bangs covered her expression, making it impossible to see what's going on inside. However, the atmosphere in the room felt like a storm is about to come. Wu Yan's heart started pounding. "Coterie, that's right, I did say I would marry you." Coterie suddenly looked up, her face expressionless. "Since I said it, I won't go back on my word." Before Wu Yin can feel happy, Coterie's expressionless face turned cold. She chuckled, and she continued, emphasizing each and every one of her words. "Only if you can live long enough until I become an adult." Gulping his saliva, Wu Yin forced out a laugh. Then, he blurted out something that made Coterie go berserk. "Actually, you don't have to reach adulthood. Courting death." As soon as Coterie finished her sentence, black smoke erupted from her body. Her two ponytails swayed in the air like the tentacles of an octopus. Her red eyes turned blood red. Wu Yan's hair stood on end. "You're courting death." Coterie reached behind her back and pulled out a sharp weapon that Wu Yin couldn't ignore. His heart almost stopped beating. A kitchen knife. Dash you. "You can't play with this thing. You can't play with it." Wu Yin said it in a pleading tone. He almost knelt down in front of Coterie. No man is immune to a kitchen knife, or more accurately, a hatchet. Even Wu Yin, who is a true ancestor, can't ignore this weapon even if he knows he can't die. If possible, Wu Yin would rather Coterie give him a good beating than see a hatchet. Girls in the 2D world have hearts that could turn black at any moment. Wu Yin didn't believe this saying before, but now he has no choice but to believe it. Coterie in front of him is one such example. Wu Yan's shameless words turned her into a hatchet goddess. Wu Yin can only hope that his words can soften Coterie's heart a bit. However, Wu Yin was disappointed. Coterie only smiled coldly. Wu Yin was shocked. She swung the kitchen knife at Wu Yin, aiming at Wu Yan's crotch. This time, Wu Yin was scared out of his wits. Wu Yan's nerves tensed up as he watched the kitchen knife coming at his crotch. He moved his legs to the left and right at the fastest speed in his life, narrowly dodging the knife. The kitchen knife didn't slow down and pierced Wu Yan's crotch. Wu Yin looked at the kitchen knife that was less than a centimeter away from his crotch. Cold sweat dripped down his forehead, soaking the hair in front of his forehead. However, none of this is important. Even if all his hair falls out, it's not as important as his happy life. "Coterie, are you serious?" Wu Yin shouted. However, this didn't scare Coterie. Instead, it made her laugh. "You have the guts to do something so shameless, but you don't have the guts to face the consequences. How can there be such a good thing?" The hand holding the kitchen knife twitched as if trying to pull the knife out of the floor and end Wu Yan's blissful life. The cold gleam of the kitchen knife pierced Wu Yan's little brother, who was less than a centimeter away from the knife. Wu Yan's cold sweat turned into a waterfall as he yelled and jumped up from the floor. Stomping on the bed, he leaped over Coterie. The moment his feet touched the ground, he ran out of the room without looking back. He disappeared without a trace. "Stop right there," Coterie shouted angrily. She pulled out the kitchen knife and chased after him with murderous intent. "Where can I hide? Where can I hide? Where can I hide? Where can I hide? Where can I hide?" Wu Yan ran down the hallway while muttering in fear. He looked left and right, trying to find a place to hide from the knife. Wu Yan has subconsciously forgotten that his combat power isn't something a sealed coterie can compare to. Wu Yan didn't want to take Coterie's knife. If it was any other part of his body, he would accept it. However, Coterie is aiming at a place he can't afford to lose. Even if a true ancestor can heal such a small injury in a short time, Wu Yan can't guarantee that he won't be traumatized. Shirori was taking a shower in the bathroom, so she didn't notice anything. As for Toka, she was rolling around happily because she got a comfortable bed and a room. Thus, a game of hide-and-seek began in Itsuka's house. Chapter 425. Wu Yan could feel Coterie chasing after him. She's not as fast as him, but she's following him in an orderly manner. She didn't give him any openings. Wu Yan wanted to cry, but had no tears. Is there a tracking device on me? Is that how Coterie knows where I am? Itsuka's house is pretty big. Run outside? No. I can play around at home, but if I run outside, Coterie will be so angry that she might ignore me for the rest of my life. Hide? Where can I hide? The living room? Where could he hide his body without being discovered by Coterie? The fridge? If Coterie can find the kitchen knife, she can find a fridge. The bathroom? Shirori is taking a bath in there. Wu Yan doesn't want to have two blackened people. Is God trying to kill me? Wu Yan howled, but he didn't want to attract Coterie's attention, so he swallowed it back. Instead, tears flowed down his cheeks. When he passed by Toka's room, Wu Yan stopped in his tracks. His face lit up as he opened the door with lightning speed and hid inside. Shido. Toka, who was rolling around on the bed, was shocked to see Wu Yan barging in. She wanted to say something, but Wu Yan appeared in front of her and covered her mouth. He even made a should gesture with his hand. Toka blinked her eyes in a daze. Then, she nodded at Wu Yan with a serious expression, indicating that she got it. 10 Fragrance's room fell into silence. The man and woman held their breaths with all their might, fearing that their breaths were too loud and might be heard by others. After an unknown amount of time, a series of messy and hurried footsteps could be heard from outside the door. It was not silent, but it was very fast. Due to the quiet environment, the two people in the room could hear it. Although the footsteps were soft, they were very powerful, showing the mood of the person who was walking at the moment. Wu Yan and Toka looked at each other. They didn't know what to do. Toka didn't know what was going on. She didn't know what was going on. Wu Yan, on the other hand, didn't know if Coterie left or not. Suddenly, Coterie's voice came from outside the door. Wu Yan and Toka jumped in fright when they heard her. Toka, is Shido inside? Toka didn't know what to do. She looked at Wu Yan with her amethyst eyes. She didn't know what to do. Her brain was overloaded, and she almost fainted. Wu Yan panicked. His wine-red eyes spun rapidly as he tried to think of a solution. Wu Yan's eyes flashed, and lightning flashed in front of his forehead. Toka's voice came out of his mouth. Shido? What's wrong with Shido? Toka's natural voice came out of Wu Yan's mouth. It's so lifelike that Toka was stunned. Coterie didn't recognize that the voice belonged to someone else. Shido did something terrible. So, Toka, if Shido is inside, you can't hide him. Toka's eyes widened when she heard Coterie. She looked at Wu Yan in shock. She didn't understand what Wu Yan meant by going overboard. Wu Yan could only laugh dryly at her. Something terrible? I don't understand, but Shido isn't here. Wu Yan said in Toka's voice. He almost got goosebumps. Toka, on the other hand, found it interesting. The door quieted down. Wu Yan had an ominous feeling. Bang! The door was violently flung open. Coterie appeared with a kitchen knife in her hand. Ah! Ten Incense, who was sitting on the bed, let out a small cry of surprise. Aside from the person involved, no one could guess what had happened. With Tenensense's natural brain, she naturally couldn't guess anything. She sat on the bed with a very distressed expression. However, Wu Yan's figure was nowhere to be seen. She scanned the room with her red eyes. She didn't find Wu Yan. Coterie pursed her lips in disappointment. She then looked at Toka, who still hasn't reacted. Sorry, Toka. If you see Shido, remember to tell me. Coterie then closed the door and the room returned to its original state of silence. Toka's mouth opened and closed. Her eyes wandered for a while before she realized what happened. She opened the blanket. Wu Yan was lying there like a corpse. Shido. Toka shook Wu Yan's body. She shouted at Wu Yan like she saw a UFO. Shido, what's wrong? Why are you hiding? Why is Kotori-chan looking for you? Why? Stop. Wu Yan pressed down on Toka's shoulder. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Don't ask so many questions. Did you just realize I was hiding? Toka flinched and she nodded. Wu Yan felt a wave of weakness wash over him. Listen up, Toka. Wu Yan turned serious, and he told Toka in a serious tone. Don't tell anyone about me hiding in your room. Got it? Toka turned serious, and she nodded again. However, Wu Yan didn't feel reassured at all. This natural glutton would probably forget everything in the next second. Toka giggled when she saw Wu Yan's embarrassed look. She looked at Wu Yan's face seriously before she said in a soft voice, Shido, thank you. Wu Yan was surprised. Why are you thanking me? Because. Toka leaned against the wall and looked up at the ceiling. Her purple eyes shined as if she was reminiscing about something. Because I'm very happy today. Looking at Toka's smiling face, Wu Yan felt a bit touched. He could still remember that less than half a day ago, there was no trace of a smile on this smiling face. There was only endless sorrow and despair. Wu Yan's lips curled up. He leaned against the wall and sat next to Toka. Actually, what? Toka's eyes narrowed as she laughed. She turned around to look at Wu Yan with a twinkle in her eyes. If Wu Yan can feel touched by Toka's face, Toka can feel the same way. After all, the person in front of her was the one who brought her warmth, her home, and her laughter. He was the one who saved her from that hellish life. Wu Yan smiled warmly when he met Toka's gaze. Actually, I'm very happy too. Toka was surprised and lowered her head. When she looked up again, her eyes were full of tears. Wu Yan was speechless. What are you doing? Didn't you say you were happy? Why do you look like you're about to cry again? Toka wiped her eyes and retorted, I'm not crying. You're obviously crying. I'm not. I am. I'm not. All right, it's fine if you don't. Slapping his cheeks, Wu Yan tapped his chin. He turned around and looked at Toka. All right, Toka, can you control Spacequake? Spacequake? Control Spacequake? Toka didn't understand. Why? I have something important to do. I need Spacequake to complete it. How about it? Can you do it? I haven't tried to control the Spacequake, but if it's just triggering the Spacequake, it's very easy. Then it's done. Wu Yan grinned. He glanced at the quest tab, and he rubbed the sealing bracelet on his wrist. Then he grabbed Toka's hand. Toka, come help me. Toka tilted her head in confusion. Since it's Wu Yan's request, there's no reason for her to refuse. She nodded. Chapter 426. Early in the morning, the sky was overcast. There was no sunlight on the ground, and the sun was nowhere to be seen. It could be seen that the weather today was cloudy, and it didn't look good. This kind of weather was not good for those who plan to go out, but for those who stayed at home, it was good weather, because without the sun shining on their buttocks, it would be more comfortable to sleep in, right? In the past, that would be the case. But now, even if you don't want to get up, someone will wake you up. The door opened and Coterie poked her head in. The white ribbons on her head moved back and forth like a rabbit's ears. She then looked at the bed. As expected, Coterie blushed when she saw Wu Yan snoring away in his sleep. She was also a bit annoyed by this. Due to the bathroom incident last night, Coterie tossed and turned the whole night. She wanted to sleep, but couldn't. She finally fell asleep in the end. However, this brother of hers slept so comfortably that he almost had a bubble hanging above his nose. This made Coterie furious. She sneaked a glance at Wu Yan. Her expression fluctuated. Her blushing face showed a bit of timidity. She hesitated on whether she should wake Wu Yin up or not. If possible, Kotori would like to switch to her commander mode. After all, in sister mode, Kotori wouldn't be able to stand in front of Wu Yin after letting Wu Yin see her naked and say something so embarrassing. Even if she's in commander mode, she wouldn't have chased after Wu Yin for an entire night. Unfortunately, Shiori is still at home. Kotori has decided not to drag her into the fairy vortex. She doesn't want her sister to know that she has such a capable sister. Therefore, Kotori reluctantly used her sister mode to wake Wu Yin up. Kotori took a step into the room and retracted her hand. She blushed. She doesn't know how to face her Oni-chan. Kotori remembered Wu Yin telling her in her commander mode last night that she doesn't have to be a grown-up to do so. Plus, she almost lost her first kiss when she woke Wu Yin up. Kotori was worried. If she woke Oni-chan up like this, will he? She thought of something and blushed again. She held her cheeks with both hands and shook her head. After a long time, Kotori mustered up her courage and entered Wu Yan's room. She poked at Wu Yan's blanket, and she tugged at it. She meekly called out, "Oni-chan, it's time to wake up." Her weak voice, of course, couldn't wake up the sleeping demon. Kotori pouted and yelled, "Oni-chan, wake up. Oni-chan is waiting for you to have dinner." Wu Yan shuddered when he heard Kotori's voice. He screamed and jumped up from the bed. Kotori cried out in shock. "Kotori, I know I was wrong. Don't chop me." Wu Yan yelled with tears in his eyes. Then he saw the speechless Kotori and stopped moving. Wu Yan looked at Kotori in shock. When he saw the white ribbon on Kotori's head, he sighed in relief. He lay down on the bed and he grumbled, "I say, Kotori, why did you scare me like that, me?" Kotori pointed at her own nose in astonishment. She was completely baffled. She was only waking her brother up, not scaring him. He was scaring himself. Wu Yan noticed this, and he awkwardly averted his gaze. Then he looked back at Kotori, and he said in a serious tone, Kotori, can we discuss something? What? Kotori looked away. She was too shy to look Wu Yan in the eye. Wu Yan looked at Kotori seriously. A second later, a fawning expression appeared on Wu Yan's face. "Kotori, can you discuss with your commander mode that you won't use a knife next time, okay? That's not good." Kotori was speechless. Tiangong City, Duralai Zen High School. Wu Yan and Shiori walked in the hallway towards the classroom. Toko was looking around curiously. Toko was wearing the same Duralai Zen High School uniform as Shiori. Of course, this was Kotori's doing. Shiori giggled at Toka, who was sucking on her finger as if it's her first time coming to school. She asked Wu Yan, "Shido, is Toka really going to go to the same school as us?" "Ah, yeah." Wu Yan nodded nonchalantly. He came up with the excuse he came up with earlier. Toka's previous school is too far away from here, so it's better to transfer here. Shiori nodded and tilted her head. "Don't tell me Toka is going to be in the same class as us?" "Ma, we're in the same class. There's nothing wrong with that," Wu Yan said. Shiori gave him a dubious look. He felt helpless inside. From Shiori's point of view, maybe it's because she doesn't want to be separated from her girlfriend Toka, so she wants to be in the same class. She doesn't know that the reason Toka wants to be in the same class is because of her dear little sister. At this time, a figure walked out from the corner in front. She had white shoulder-length hair and an expressionless face. Who else could it be but Yuichi Origami? Tabichi Origami stopped in her tracks when she saw Shiori. Her expression turned serious when she saw Wu Yan. However, when she saw Toka, her calm expression changed. "Princess, you're..." Toka tilted her head and exclaimed, "Robot Army, why are you here?" Toichi Origami stared at Toka. "You were the one who caused the space-time quake yesterday. Where did you go after that? Why can't I detect your spirit energy anymore?" And Toichi Origami looked at Shiori and asked seriously, "Why are you with Shiori? Why should I tell you?" Originally, Tin Fragrance did not have a good impression of Origami Kite. After all, every time Tin Fragrance appeared in this world, the robot army in front of her would immediately come to kill her. It would be strange if she had a good impression of him. Coupled with Origami Kite's questioning tone, Tin Fragrance immediately pouted her small mouth. Toichi Origami looked at Wu Yin and Toka. Were you the ones who caused the space-time quake last night? Toka pouted even harder. When she was about to say something, Wu Yin pulled her back and shook his head helplessly. He noticed a trace of fatigue on Toichi Origami's expressionless face. Combined with Toichi Origami's plain but obvious question, Wu Yin guessed what happened. It's probably because he used Toka's power to summon the space-time quake last night that the AST that detected the space-time quake was sent out. However, Wu Yin instantiated the space-time quake as soon as it appeared. Toichi Origami woke up in the middle of the night and returned empty-handed. After that, Toka summoned a few space-time quakes to replenish the 10 space orbs. Toka also woke up a few times. Hold on. Shirori frowned and said, "What robot army? What spirit energy? Who is Princess? Why is Toka related to the space-time quake?" The three people who were confronting each other froze. Chapter 427. On a certain street in Heavenly Palace City, a figure is walking towards a certain direction. There are many bags hanging on his body. There are ingredients and clothes inside. Lifting the bag in his hand, he couldn't help but sigh. He couldn't help but grumble at Shirori. It's one thing if she wants him to buy groceries. It's not like he didn't buy groceries when he was Hinajiku's butler in the Whirlwind Butler. But what's with asking him to buy clothes? Buying clothes is of course nothing. The problem is that these clothes are for Toka to wear. In other words, these clothes are for women, and there are underwear inside. Wu Yin can still remember when he walked into the underwear store, the staff and customers looked at him strangely. If he didn't say that he's here to buy for his girlfriend, he might have been treated as a pervert. In fact, even if Wu Yin said that he's here to buy for his girlfriend, those people still looked at him with suspicion. Thus, Wu Yin, who has always been a thick-skinned person, didn't even last a minute under the watchful eyes of those people before he was completely defeated. He hurriedly picked up 2 random items and fled the store in a sorry state. It's embarrassing to the extreme. Thinking about the laughter that came from the underwear store when he ran away, Wu Yan's heart was filled with anger. She's clearly a girl. It's more convenient for her to buy these clothes, but soon, this anger turned into helplessness. Who can be blamed? Who told them to talk about Spacequake and elves in front of Shirji, and then when she asked, they still answered perfunctorily. It was understandable that Shirji would be resentful and want to prank them. Wu Yan only wants to say one thing. Why is it that Toichi Origami and Toka are the same as him, but he's the only one who gets revenge in the end? It's fortunate that Toichi Origami didn't expose Toka's identity. Otherwise, explaining is secondary. The most important thing is that with Shiori's love for Kotori, she'll definitely step forward if she knows what Kotori has been doing. At that time, Kotori's thoughts of keeping her sister out of this will turn to ashes. Perhaps Tabichi Origami was the same as Kotori. They didn't want Shirori to be involved in such a dangerous matter. After all, the elves were very powerful. Even if they were caught in the crossfire, they could still kill people. In the original work, Kotori was only willing to let Shirori go because he had Kotori's power and was immortal. But in this world, if I'm not wrong, Kotori's power isn't sealed in Shiori's body. It's sealed in my own body. In other words, it's sealed by the sealing ring. In other words, Shirori doesn't have the power of immortality in the original work. Under such circumstances, Kotori can't bear to let Shirori be the front line against the elves. Wu Yin guessed that Toichi Origami, who's most likely a Yuri woman, wouldn't want Shirori to know about this. Wu Yin has a big question about Kotori's elven power being sealed by the sealing ring. It's not the origin of the sealing ring or when Kotori put it on. Wu Yin has already decided to take things as they come, so he won't worry about it. What Wu Yin really cares about is the system's mission panel. Dungeon World, Date Battle, Dungeon Mission, Collect, Mission 1. Materialize all the spatial quakes around the world and collect them. Current progress, 1010, completed. Mission reward, equipment points, item points, ability points, summoning points, 50,000 each. Mission 2. Use the sealing ring to seal the elven powers of storyline characters Toka, Yoshino, Tokisaki Kurumi, and Itsuka Kotori. Mission Reward. Any 2 B grade and below equipment will be upgraded by 1 grade. B grade and Gate of Babylon excluded. Mission 3. Yet to be activated. Last night, with the help of Toka's power, Wu Yin successfully collected the Space Orb. With the completion of the first mission, the second mission was activated. Helping 4 storyline characters seal the elves' powers is just nice. It's another goal he's working on, so there's no conflict. However, last night, when the second mission was activated, Wu Yin stared at it for a long time. To be precise, he stared at Itsuka Kotori's name for a long time. When the second dungeon mission was activated, one of the names of the 4 elves was lit up. It was Night Sword God Toka. However, even though Kotori had sealed her power, her name did not light up. Could it be that Kotori's power wasn't sealed by the sealing ring? Then why did Kotori wear a sealing ring for no reason? Because it looks good? That's impossible. The mysterious appearance of the sealing bracelet and this strange dungeon mission too made Wu Yin think about the origin of Kotori's sealing bracelet. Now, he has a clear idea of where Kotori's sealing bracelet came from. Of course, guesses were just guesses. As for what the real situation was, it was still the same sentence. If he continued to stay in this world, he would definitely find the answer. Well, I've only sealed one of the 4 elves. Even if I eliminate Kotori, there's still 2 more. One of them is easy to deal with, but the other one won't be so easy. Once I solve the other 3, I should have an answer to Kotori's question. Walking on the street, Wu Yin couldn't help but smile. But when he saw the bag in his hand, he sighed. Lingerie stores and whatnot. Even though it's said to be a place of welfare for the people of this generation, it's also stressful. He really can't understand why the original protagonists didn't enjoy the same treatment as him when they entered a lingerie store. Suddenly, Wu Yin felt a sense of danger. Wu Yin stopped in his tracks. His wine-red eyes flashed, and he turned to look in a certain direction. Wu Yin heard a slight noise. At the same time, Wu Yin saw a tiny black dot coming towards him. It's a gunshot. The black dot is a bullet. In Wu Yin's vision, time seemed to slow down. The bullet coming from afar also slowed down. When the bullet arrived in front of Wu Yin's eyes, Wu Yin finally tilted his head. Bang! As Wu Yin tilted his head, the bullet grazed the corner of Wu Yin's eye and hit the ground behind Wu Yin. After a muffled sound, a hole was blasted into the ground. What a powerful weapon. It's definitely a weapon against elves. He glanced at the crater behind him. His wine-red eyes flashed like 2 lightning bolts as he looked at a faraway hill. There was a person aiming a sniper rifle at him. It was obvious that the bullet just now was the other party's handiwork. With Wu Yin's vision, even though he was far away from the hill, Wu Yin could still see the figure on the hill. AST. Wu Yin narrowed his eyes and looked at the hill. The figure did not retreat after the first shot failed. Instead, it was preparing to fire a second shot. He frowned. With the power of that sniper rifle, it was definitely not something an ordinary organization could possess. The equipment worn by the other party clearly indicated the identity of the attacker. It was AST. However, weren't AST members only female? If Wu Yin was not mistaken, the figure that attacked him should be a man. After pondering for a while, Wu Yin suddenly smiled. A male AST. Could it be the direct subordinate of the AST higher-ups? If so, then you won't be leaving today. Chapter 428. On top of a small hill, a person wearing equipment that was slightly different from AST's, but similar in style, was lying on a lower ground that was hard to notice. He was holding a sniper rifle in his hand and leaning on the sniper rifle's scope. He was aiming at something. From the scope of the sniper rifle, the person can clearly see Wu Yin nimbly dodging his bullet. He even raised his head and looked at him with a gentle smile. I've been discovered. Looking at Wu Yan's smile through the scope, the sniper couldn't help but be shocked. A trace of nervousness appeared on his face. After all, this place is at least 500 meters away from the place he was aiming at. But the opponent actually discovered him in an instant and even accurately pinpointed his position. However, the sniper quickly calmed down. No matter what, he was still a soldier who had received formal training. Moreover, he was assigned to the position of a sniper. If his psychological quality was not good, he would not have been sent out. Pressing the radio in his ear, the sniper said in a deep voice, "Point A, sniper failed." Not long after the sniper's voice fell, a series of continuous reports rang out from the radio in his ear. "Point B aimed. Point C aimed. Point D ready." After these voices rang out, a voice that clearly has a tone of command, it seems to be the voice of the leader of these people. "Point A, point B, point C, point D, snipe at the same time." Along with this voice, for very subtle sounds of reloading could be heard from the other side of the earpiece. Under the scope of 4 sniper rifles, Wu Yin frowned and then relaxed. Feeling the initial warning coming from one direction change to 4, Wu Yin couldn't help but lick his lips. Those snipers are scattered all over the place. This is a bit troublesome. Although he said it was troublesome, his face didn't show any signs of trouble. Wu Yin glanced at the 4 positions where the warning came from and chuckled softly. "Take them out one by one." Wu Yin's chuckle was naturally seen by the 4 snipers under the scope. Immediately, the 4 sniper rifles in their hands pressed down on Wu Yin. For bullets basically sealed off all of Wu Yin's escape routes. The 4 snipers were full of confidence in their attacks. In this situation, even if the opponent is a powerful elf, there is no way she can avoid this round of coordinated attacks. So much so that they didn't even consider that there is no way to avoid their attacks. But who said that they have to dodge? Bang! When the 4 bullets were about to enter the target's body, the 4 snipers saw a surge of red lotus flames suddenly burning from the target's body. The 4 bullets didn't even have time to touch Wu Yan's body before they were directly engulfed by the flames and turned into gas. What? Seeing the image on the sniper rifle's scope, the 4 snipers in different positions shouted in unison. Sometimes, the greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. This was the situation. What's wrong? The voice of the leader who ordered the 4 snipers to snipe came from the headset, finally letting the 4 snipers understand the situation they are in. "Captain, snipe at point A failed again. Please give instructions." "Captain, snipe at point B failed. Please give instructions." "Captain, snipe at point C failed. Please give instructions." "Captain, snipe at point D failed. Please give instructions." Listening to the report in the wireless headset, the voice of the person who was called the captain had a trace of gloominess. Snipe failed again? Suddenly, in the sight of the 4 snipers and the captain of the sniper team, a red lotus flame pillar rushed into the sky, as if it was going to burn the entire sky into ashes. Endless heat was emitted from it, and there was a trace of heat in the air. What's going on? The pillar of fire from the red lotus slowly burned. Soon after, the pillar of fire decreased at a speed visible to the naked eye. When the pillar of fire completely disappeared from the sight of the 5 people, a figure with a fiery glow shot out from where the pillar of fire was and disappeared on a small mountain slope. That small hill was the one where the sniper who first sniped Wu Yin was at. The leader of the sniper team turned pale with fright. He hurriedly pressed the earpiece and wanted to shout something into it. However, a scream came out of the earpiece first, causing the leader of the sniper team and the remaining 3 snipers to be extremely shocked. "Point A. What's going on? Point A. Answer. Answer." The leader of the sniper team was full of hope, hoping to hear the sniper at point A's location reply. There was a rustling sound in his earpiece, and then a reply indeed appeared. However, this reply was another scream. "Hey, what's going on?" Unfortunately, the sniper team leader's answer was a scream. The sniper team leader's face turned pale. That was because the 3 screams were different from each other. Soon, the last scream also sounded in the wireless headset of the sniper team captain. After this scream, the only sound that could be heard in the entire wireless headset was the rustling sound. Damn it! In a small alley, a middle-aged man wearing a bulletproof vest smashed the wireless headset in his ear to the ground, shattering it immediately. The sniper team captain's face was gloomy, and he was panting heavily. One could imagine how annoyed he was at this moment. Mission failed. The sniper team captain gritted his teeth and snorted coldly. a pair of sinister eyes looking in the direction of the red lotus flame pillar just now, and said hatefully, "Damn elves. Don't think that it's over. Even if there's no elves, don't think that we'll let you run around in our territory sooner or later. What about one day?" The sniper team captain's pupils shrank, and his face changed greatly. He raised his head abruptly and looked in the direction of the voice. Then his face turned completely pale. In the sky not far in front of him, a figure was floating there, a pair of wine-red eyes staring at him with a faint smile, and the figure was holding 4 people he was very familiar with. The sniper team captain's pupils slowly shrank to the size of a needle. He looked up at the floating figure and his 4 subordinates in the figure's hands, and an inexplicable sense of oppression came from the figure, pressing down on him, causing the sniper team captain's body to start trembling. Bang! 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 Seeing his 4 subordinates being thrown to the ground, the sound of their bodies hitting the ground was like a heavy hammer hitting the sniper team captain's heart. The sniper team captain's palms were sweaty, and he subconsciously took a few steps back. Wu Yin glanced at the sniper team captain, and his body slowly floated down and stood on the ground. "You're for the AST, right?" The sniper team captain clenched his fist and forced himself to calm down. He took a few deep breaths and looked at Wu Yin, but there was a trace of fear in his eyes. Seeing this, Wu Yin shook his head and smiled contemptuously. "What's wrong? Is this your first time seeing elves? Or are you afraid because all your subordinates have fallen?" Raising his foot, he walked towards the sniper squad leader. The sniper squad leader followed Wu Yan's movement and took a step back. His body started shaking violently. Seeing this, the contempt in Wu Yan's eyes intensified. "Afraid just like this? Looks like the lackeys raised by the upper echelons of AST are all trash. The troops directly under the upper echelons can't even compare to the normal members of AST in battle. Even their mental fortitude is so bad. No wonder the ones fighting against the elves are the female members. The men of AST are really living like dogs." Chapter 429. Scared just like that? Looks like the lackeys raised by the upper echelons of AST are all trash. The troops directly under the upper echelons can't even compare to the normal members of AST. Even their mental fortitude is so bad. No wonder the ones fighting against the elves are the female members. The men of AST have really wasted their lives. The sniper team leader was furious when he heard Wu Yan's words. The fear on his face turned into anger. A vein popped out on his forehead. His reaction made Wu Yan turn his head away. He looked down on this sniper team leader a little, keeping a poker face. Such a requirement might be a bit too much for a sniper team leader under the direct command of AST. But in a situation where he could be killed at any time, he actually showed his emotions on his face because of the enemy's words. Didn't he know that it would be easy for him to be caught or killed by the enemy if he did so? If the upper beam is not straight, the lower beam will be crooked. With how arrogant the higher-ups of AST were, how good could their subordinates be? At this moment, Wu Yan suddenly felt bad for Origami and the other AST girls. Not only did they have to fight on the battlefield, they even had to work under these people. He really didn't know what kind of sins they committed in their past lives. No wonder the AST team leader was so angry that she almost went through menopause. Seeing Wu Yan's disdainful expression, the sniper team leader was even angrier. However, he didn't dare to say anything. Even if he didn't know the current situation, he knew that angering the other party wouldn't do him any good. "You, how do you know about AST and where I belong?" The sniper team leader was secretly shocked. As far as he knew, each of the elves had a serious lack of knowledge about this world. Unlike the elves in front of him, not only did they call him Misty directly, but they even knew about the higher-ups directly. Little did he know that Wu Yan isn't an elf. AST's attitude towards elves is different from Ratatoskers. That's why AST's information is second only to elves and Ratatosker. Wu Yan hasn't been in this world for long, but as the combat commander of Ratatosker, if he doesn't know about his old rival, Coterie will cook him alive. Of course, Wu Yin wouldn't tell this to the sniper team leader. Wu Yin pursed his lips and ignored the sniper team leader's question. He walked past the 4 snipers and headed towards the sniper team leader. "Tell me," staring at the sniper squad leader who was moving back and forth with him, Wu Yin asked in a low voice. "Why do you want to kill me? I don't have any elven energy on me." The sniper captain started sweating as he backed away. He didn't pay attention to Wu Yan's words. Maybe he didn't want to say it, or maybe he didn't hear it due to fear. Wu Yan's wine-red eyes flashed with a sharp glint. "Tell me." The cold voice caused the leader of the sniper team to stumble and fall on his butt. His face was full of fear as he cried out, "I don't know. I don't know anything." Wu Yin stopped in his tracks when he saw the sniper squad leader's unbearable behavior. He frowned with a look of disgust on his face. Looks like he had overestimated them before. Are all the men in AST like this? If they are, they would have sent the girls into battle. "I don't know." Wu Yin sneered. "Then let's change the question. Did AST send other troops to kill other elfins other than me?" Wu Yin didn't expect the sniper squad leader to say something he didn't expect. "Are there other elves who don't have elf waves living here?" "You don't know?" Wu Yin looked at the sniper squad leader in surprise. He lowered his head when he saw the genuine look of bewilderment on the sniper squad leader's face and started thinking. The sniper team leader didn't say the reason why AST came to kill him, but Wu Yin could more or less guess. Originally, AST was established to kill elves. The existence of elves would bring a great disaster to this world. Even without the spacecrafts, their powerful strength was enough to make humans fear them. Now, the fact that he didn't have elf waves on him must have been known by AST. However, without elf waves, he was an elf. Other elves might not be, but Wu Yin is. He's not an elf. The spacecrafts were an accident. Coterie and Ratatosker didn't believe Wu Yan's words back then. The people of AST didn't believe him either. That's why even if a nuclear bomb is frozen, it's still a nuclear bomb. Its destructive power won't disappear even if it's frozen. Similarly, an elf would still be an elf even if she didn't have any elven energy waves. Just like a nuclear bomb, no one would be able to stand by and watch a nuclear bomb walk around in their own home. Even Ratatosker wasn't as cruel to the elves as AST, but he still kept a close eye on them. Wasn't Coterie the one who was keeping an eye on Toka when she was staying at Itsuka's house? Wu Yin bitterly laughed. The original work sure is a scam. The elves are roaming around inside, but the AST people didn't do anything. Wu Yin subconsciously thought that the AST people wouldn't attack the elves with their powers sealed away because of the absence of the elves' energy waves. Based on the current situation, it's not that AST didn't want to make a move, it's just that they didn't know about the sealed elves living here. Wu Yin frowned when he thought of this. He's very confused about this. It didn't make sense. It was impossible for AST to not know that there was an elf living here. Other things aside, Kite Origami had seen 10 fragrances with his own eyes. With Kite Origami's personality, such an important matter would definitely be reported. So why exactly? Is there something else going on? The sniper squad leader looked at Wu Yin, who was deep in thought. The fear on his face disappeared and was replaced by a ruthless expression. He quietly reached his hand behind him. The moment the sniper squad leader reached behind him, he felt a chill coming from his chest. It was as if he lost something. The sniper squad leader was at a loss. The sniper team leader lowered his head and looked at his chest, which had become cool. The next moment, his eyes widened to the maximum. His face was filled with disbelief. On his chest, there was a hand, but the entire hand was gone. That's because the hand is inside his body. "I didn't want to kill you so quickly. You're the one who asked for it." A faint voice came from the sniper squad leader. He raised his head with difficulty. A pair of wine-red eyes with a cold glint appeared in his vision. The sniper squad leader wanted to say something, but when he opened his mouth, nothing came out. All he got was a cold smile from Wu Yin. He slowly pulled out the hand from his body. Fresh blood dripped from Wu Yan's hand and sprayed out from the sniper squad leader's chest like a fountain. It sprayed out in front of Wu Yin and sprinkled on his body. However, not a single drop of blood touched his body. Instead, it dripped down like water droplets. The intense pain finally reached the head of the sniper team leader. The scene in front of him began to blur. At this time, the sniper team leader realized that his 4 subordinates were in the same situation as him. Their chests were pierced, and fresh blood flowed all over the ground beneath them. Chapter 430. Following the sound of the sniper team leader falling to the ground, the small alley fell into complete silence. However, no one could ignore the scene that unfolded before their very eyes. The 5 of them fell to the ground in different postures. There was a bloody hole in each of their chests. Blood kept flowing out of the holes. It was as if there were 5 blood fountains coming out of the ground. The ground was dyed in red. Under such a scene, a person stood in the middle of the 5 corpses. Blood flowed from his body, but his clothes were not stained by a single drop of blood. The blood flowed down like a leaf and dripped on the ground. Similarly, there was a hand. After a long while, a faint sigh was finally heard from this bloody scene. The only figure standing had broken the silence of this place. Raising his hand and looking at the blood flowing on it, Wu Yan's wine-red eyes flashed with a golden glow. Although the urge to suck blood has been eliminated, a vampire is still a vampire. I can't help but want to suck in a mouthful of blood. Wu Yan smacked his lips and shook his head with a smile. He waved his hand and shook off all the blood on his hand. What a pity. Such filthy blood definitely doesn't taste good. Just as Wu Yan was about to turn around and go home, a sweet voice with a hint of laughter sounded behind him. "Haha, I also agree with this little brother's words." The voice made Wu Yan's wine-red eyes tremble. He was a little surprised. Someone actually came here and approached him without him noticing. Wu Yan's face became serious. His wine-red eyes flashed with a golden glow again. Then, he slowly turned around and looked at the entrance of the alley. However, when Wu Yan saw clearly who it was, the seriousness on his face disappeared and was replaced by a deep shock. It was a very beautiful girl. She had long black hair tied into 2 long braids that stretched in front of her chest. She had bangs on her forehead, but the length was completely different. The left bangs were very long, so long that it covered her entire left eye. The remaining right eye was wine-red like Wu Yan's. Her skin was white and translucent. It shone with a faint luster like a pearl. Even in the alley where the light was a little dim, one could clearly see the luster of her skin. At this moment, the girl was standing at the entrance of the alley. Her only exposed, I was looking at the corpses and blood on the ground. She didn't scream like a normal girl would. Instead, she excitedly licked her lips, staring at the corpses and blood. The girl's eyes slightly curved into a crescent shape. In an instant, she retracted her gaze. It was as if the corpses weren't humans, but pigs. What flowed wasn't blood, but water. It was as if the corpses on the ground were her food. Compared to Wu Yan, she was more like a vampire. However, it was clear that the girl was more interested in Wu Yan than the food on the ground. Her wine-red eyes were filled with interest as she squinted at Wu Yan. She looked like a quiet young lady. Her movements were elegant and very cultured. Looking at the girl who was sizing him up with interest, Wu Yan's astonished expression slowly turned into one of not knowing whether to laugh or cry. That's because this girl is someone he knows. It's just that the other party doesn't know who he is. Tokisaki Kurumi. In the original work, it identified a sprite named Nightmare. It was also a fairy that descended earlier than the 10 fragrances, but only appeared later. And now, she had appeared in front of him. Tokisaki Kurumi tilted her head and smiled. An elegant young lady aura emanated from her body. Since she descended earlier than Toka, she came into contact with this world earlier. Therefore, Tokisaki Kurumi's knowledge and etiquette of this world can be said to be very rich. Tokisaki Kurumi acted as if she didn't see the corpses on the ground. She raised her foot and walked over the corpses on the ground. Stepping on the blood, she walked towards Wu Yan. "Ah la la, I didn't expect that I would see such an interesting scene when I was just curious as to why there would be a fire pillar in this place." Tokisaki Kurumi placed her hands in front of her and smiled at Wu Yan. Her delicate and beautiful face, coupled with her outstanding temperament, made her a beautiful flower. However, the words that came out of her mouth made this flower look like it was plated with a layer of blood his wine-red eyes met with Tokisaki Kurumi's. Wu Yin didn't show any expression on his face, but he bitterly smiled in his heart. He knew that he encountered the most troublesome fairy to deal with. One had to know that this elegant elven lady in front of him was known as a nightmare. Of course, nightmare was only a superficial name. Tokisaki Kurumi had another title, and that was the most lustful elf. The descent of a fairy will cause a space-time quake and bring about a catastrophe in this world. Wu Yin didn't know how many people have died under the terrifying destructive power of the space-time quake. However, Wu Yin knew that Tokisaki Kurumi didn't use the power of the space-time quake. She killed more than 10,000 humans with her bare hands. Therefore, don't think that Tokisaki Kurumi was joking. This scene was enough to make people tremble in fear, but in Tokisaki Kurumi's eyes, it was nothing. This was because in her daily life, such scenes were common. Tokisaki Kurumi didn't think much of it. She was already used to such scenes. Logically speaking, even if Wu Yin doesn't reject such a lustful being, he wouldn't take the initiative to approach her. Even if his second dungeon mission requires him to seal her power, Wu Yin would rather not do it. However, Tokisaki Kurumi is an exception. Others only know that Tokisaki Kurumi is a lustful fairy who killed more than 10,000 humans with her bare hands. There's no evil she wouldn't commit. However, all of this is just her disguise. Looking at the elegant Tokisaki Kurumi, Wu Yin sighed in his heart. This is probably the most difficult fairy to capture. If he doesn't do it well, he might not be able to do it in his entire life. To seal her power and complete his second dungeon mission. To be honest, Wu Yin isn't confident. What's wrong? Tokisaki Kurumi looked at the silent Wu Yin. She thought he was frightened by her appearance and the word's trend. Wu Yin raised his head and frowned. Aren't you afraid? Afraid? Tokisaki Kurumi laughed and said meaningfully, Little bro, do you think all girls are afraid of blood? Tokisaki Kurumi didn't let Wu Yin answer as she continued. Then, little bro, I will have to disappoint you. I, on the other hand, am not afraid of blood. In fact, I like it very much. Also, Tokisaki Kurumi closed her eyes and she stood on her tiptoes. She looked like a little girl waiting to be kissed by her lover. She had a bashful look on her face as she told Wu Yin in an intoxicated tone. Little bro, there's a nice smell on you. Tokisaki Kurumi abruptly opened her eyes. Her originally delicate and elegant face instantly turned a little lustful. She licked her lips and laughed loudly. Ha! Ha! It smells so nice, it whetted my appetite. Wu Yin's expression changed. He stomped heavily on the ground and retreated. At the same time, a few pale arms drilled out from the ground and wrapped around Wu Yin. They brushed past Wu Yin's retreating body. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.